Grace and peace, everybody. Let's try that again. Grace and peace, everybody. We're back. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. You know what we're about to do. It is Tuesday, y'all. We got another great show planned for y'all. Shout out to the best and most electrifying live chat on the internet. Shout out to you all. Hopefully, you all are having a wonderful Tuesday. Shout out to all the candies. Y'all come on and get up here close to the front of the church. Y'all know we make room for y'all. We make rooms for our visitors. All right, y'all. This is going to be a very unserious show. I'm just going to tell you ahead of time. I'm not going to be serious at all. There's nothing serious about the show. I've already planned it out. I've planned that it be completely bonkers. And that's just what I'm going to do. I'm not going to let you down. I'm going to be as unserious as possible because you all made me watch that show last night. I watched Candy yesterday and I said, you got to be kidding me. You've got to be absolutely kidding me. There's no way this show is serious. There's no way. Yo, I got spreadsheets today. I got clips. I got all kinds of shenanigans today. So let's get this thing going. Shout out to everybody who's jumped into the best live chat. I see some great folk up in here. I always appreciate Eric. Because Eric said he's number one up in this piece. He said, look, he's the first one up in here. Okay, I see you. Did you have the live yesterday? I missed the live stream commentary about the stream. Was looking for it, but didn't see anything. I just did a quick shout out to you, Loyal Love 3. I did a quick response about the planes, but I didn't do a full unboxing because one, I was watching it in clips and I just found the plane thing to be just so ridiculous. I was like, man, come on. If you don't believe that Candace Owens is a IQ test at this point, I honestly don't know what else to tell you. Shout out to Mr. B up in the building. He's 6 up in here. I see you right there, friend. Good to see you. What does Monica say this? Monica says she's 7. Okay, I got y'all. I appreciate y'all. Captain Jackson, she won. Oh, no, 8. Okay. All right, shout out to him. Of course, shout out to all the moderators. Thank you to everybody who's already jumped into the best live chat on the internet. There's about 85 people up in here, which is amazing. Thank y'all so much. Yesterday, I had some assignments. Got to do some dad duties. Got some dad things to do. So had that on yesterday, but I'm glad that you all were able to endure because yesterday was a show to end all shows, to change the whole complexity of the whole entire multiverse. And nothing happened. Not a thing. Not a thing, y'all. I mean, come on, man. At this point, come on, for real. Robin, I think we all can agree. I think we all can agree that Candace is just doing this for the laughs. I appreciate you, number 15, for sure. All right, so real quick, let me talk about it. I got my bingo board. I'm playing bingo today, man. All right, I got a claim with no receipts. I got Kanye West. She still ain't talked about Kanye, y'all. That's why I think this is real, what happened with Kanye. You know, some people say, it could have been AI. You know, it could have been AI. It's very possible. But if it had been AI, I think Candace would have said something. I think the fact that she said nothing is kind of evident that it was true. Anyway, I won't share yet. So, you know, anything that she say, come back tomorrow to watch it. FOIA is a new word. If FOIA or any form of FOIA pops up in there, I feel like yesterday, there was a lot of feeling yesterday. We had planes yesterday. We had snakes on these planes. I have messages. I got a hunch. You know, I'm going to go back here. And I've seen a lot of candies popping into the comment section, the most electrifying comment section on the internet. And they keep saying things like, Candace has this, Candace has shown this. And I'm just going to give you all the deputy rights to ask them. Because some of you all are going hard in the paint with them, with the candies in the chat. And I appreciate you. Just ask them for the evidence. Ask them, say, where did she do this? Where did you see her show XYZ ABC? Proof of 1, 2, 3. Ask them for it. You don't even have to go back and forth because these people know that they don't have any evidence. They know it. They don't have evidence. And I've talked about this today. Like Candace has a very interesting mob of folk. Shout out to the most electrifying live chat on the internet because you're not going to be better than this, but she has a group of interesting people who just refuse to ask questions. So let's keep it going. We got hunches, we got feds, we got Israel. Israel did that. I have proof, but I can't show it to you. Betrayal, random text. I'm just asking questions. Tip line shout out. the word grift. I think we're going to retire the word grift. I'm kind of tired of it. I think we might retire that word. I think we're going to retire grift. I think we're going to retire Kanye West. FBI, military vibes, patchwork theories. Oh, man, patchwork theory. That's all yesterday was. That's all yesterday was patchwork theories. Best friends, leaks, calling an expert a liar, and a random person shout out. All right. If you want to play Candy Rott Bingo. If you want to play Candy Rott Bingo, the game board is in the description of this video as well. Let's keep this going. All right, y'all. I did some research, and I'm gonna do my very best Candace Owens impersonation here. And I've already warned you that I plan on taking nothing serious today. Nothing serious at all. Because I just don't think that I don't think Candace is serious. I really think that she wants to make sure that we all have six-pack abs because we're laughing at her so much. So let me bring this in. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go. All right. So I did some research. And what did I research? I researched every game that Steph Curry from the Golden State Warriors played against the Atlanta Hawks. I ran that across gas prices here in the metro Atlanta area, and I cross-checked it with the average grade point average of Morehouse College that particular month. Okay? So, for example, on April 4th, 2021, Steph Curry drained 37 points and gas prices were $2.40 here in the metro Atlanta area. And the average GPA at Morehouse was 3.51. Shout out to the house. Now on the 8th of November, 2022, Steph Curry drained 50. Good gracious, man. 50? My gosh, man. Go kind on us, man. Be kind to us, my brother. But gas prices were also $3.25. 3.51 was the grade point average at the house. Now, on March 17th of 23, I guess they didn't play in 22, he drained 31 points. And, I asked here in Atlanta, so maybe they played in Golden State, but they didn't play in Atlanta. I don't know. That's interesting. Or he didn't score any points. He didn't score above 30 points. That's it. So gas prices here were $3.42. And the average GPA was 3.55. Now on the 24th of January, 24, he got 31 points. $3.06. 3.56 was a GPA. On February 3rd, 24, he got 41 points and $3.24. And again, that grade point average had not changed, did not improve. And then lastly, the last time he scored, actually, this isn't even 30 points. I wonder why they did put this in there. Maybe he wanted to score 30 points. Maybe he had 30 points on his brain. He had 30 points on his mind. Anyway, on the 24th, 11/20/24, gas prices in Atlanta were $2.93. Let's go. And Morehouse's GPA, average GPA was still 3.56. So I guess we could start, taking Candace like she did yesterday. She pulled out those charts and all that kind of stuff like that. And so she had the charts, and we could just look at this chart and say, okay, well, why is it that every time Morehouse's GPA was a 3.3 or higher, Steph Curry scored 30 points? Is it 30 points or more? Is it because Morehouse was helping Steph Curry? Maybe the ref was a Morehouse alumni and was given, or maybe the ref was a Howard alumni. Maybe we should say that. Maybe we should add another complexity to it, where the ref was a Howard alumni and they was trying to cheat their way in to allowing Steph Curry to get those points. How about that? Or what if we said the gas prices, because gas was so high, Steph Curry was following the gas prices with that arc, draining that ball into the hoop. Well, there we go. There we go. I'm pretty sure, as I said in my video earlier today, it does. There we go. See, I want to make sure you were here, Kiana. I wanted to make sure that you were in the building. That's why. So I said Howard to make sure, because I couldn't see your name in here. But then lo and behold, I say Howard, and she materializes. But I think it's fair to say, you can draw correlations to anything. I could have put crypto prices. I could have put crypto prices and how many people were seen wearing Adidas at Lenox Mall. I could have made any kind of correlation whatsoever. And none of these things have to actually be tied to each other, or they could be very well tied to each other. But there's no reason to believe that this is some kind of intel or anything of that nature, because someone looked at the screenshot of the table that Candace put on the screen yesterday and pointed out that many of these things, there's some key details that Candace does not bring up when she shows you all that chart. So just like this ridiculous chart that I have here, which is completely ludicrous. There's no reason for this. I hope you didn't spend a lot of time working on this today, Jason, because this is a shame. This is an absolute shame. But I wanted to point this out because it's just as silly as Candace's theory that something was going on with those Egyptian planes. And did you hear her yesterday say, well, now she's throwing it out there to the government to start looking into it, because she's saying that there's some some international shenanigans going on with Egypt. And it's a wild thing to observe. So again, my chart is completely ludicrous, but guess what? So is Candace's. Now, I have a clip here, shout out to Steven Crowder. He did a fantastic job of answering her. And I just want to give him some room to tease it out, especially where they talk about some of the little key elements that are missing off of her chart, or that she doesn't point out on her chart, which I think is very, very telling. So let's bring it in.
Out a clip of that book club, and accused me of accusing Erica of murdering her husband. I mean, they manufactured that claim out of thin air, and then they made it go viral. They sent it out to all the right people, Steven Crowder. And this was all happening because I mentioned the Egyptian plane. This plane crossed with Erica.
Okay, I'm going to stop for a second. It is adorable. It is absolutely adorable. And I've said this before, that Candace won't address the planes. So I think we need to start, let's see if we're right. I need you all to start really hammering the candies about the claim that the 12 Israeli phones that were at UVU, we need her to address that. And let's see what happens. If we really start hammering the candies about the 12 Israeli, I like the word Egyptian, the 12 Israeli phones that were at UVU, do you think she'll actually address it on her show? Because we've already addressed this on the show. I'm not saying that Candaspiracy watches my channel, but you can't prove to me. Actually, I think she does. I think that Candace watches my show. And I'll bring you up some my thoughts on that in a moment as well. But I think she watches it. And you can't prove to me that she doesn't. So therefore, I guess I'm right. And if you challenge me, I'm going to be like, well, why are you challenging me? See, this works pretty well. I kind of like this, actually. This weird, danged if you do, danged if you don't. But anyway, if we start hammering them when the candies come in the chat and say, hey, what about those 12 Israeli phones? 12 Israeli phones. We might start putting 12 phones in the chat, right? What if we start hammering her with that? And will she stand up and address it? I think that would be adorable. I really want to know. Yo, the plane logic is cray. Plane logic is crazy. All right, let me bring Steven back up in here because I thought this was fantastic. I think he has a great sense of humor, and he and his team really handle these things quite well. Let's go.
What she just showed you would be very much in line with basic service maintenance repairs. And of course, Candace, with the initial story, missed the time of the flight of departure from Provo by about 6 hours. After hiding it for years, I need to complain. I've been outed. If you haven't heard the news about me, just watch this clip, and to my everlasting shame, you'll understand.
I had to learn at a very young age to read people. I think that's my superpower, actually. Just being able to look at someone and sense danger or sense deceit. And by the way, I should mention with Steven Crowder, I have never been a fan. He just always gave me the energy of a pathological liar. I trust my gut. I don't trust influencer campaigns.
This is the thing. If she's so good at sensing danger, why is it that every job that she's had, she's been fired from? And I believe she was fired from TPUSA. I'm sorry. You can't prove me wrong. Prove me wrong that she wasn't fired. I believe she was fired from TPUSA. Charlie just was a man of higher caliber and just didn't want to drag her out there and make her look bad. We know she was fired from PragerU. We know she was fired from the Daily Wire. Why does she keep attaching herself to companies that are going to fire her? Is she so keen on her superpower and such of that nature and be able to pick people out and all that kind of stuff, sense danger? Why does she keep putting herself in a position where she's getting fired from positions? Like, maybe you should not do that, maybe? I'm just wondering, how does that work? I just find it adorable. So let's keep this going. Fascinating, even.
My gut started to tell me that they suddenly began panicking when I discovered the Egyptian planes. What? They did what we now term a pre-bunking, and then they send out like a full fleet against you to not even actually debunk you, but they're just so extreme in not debunking you.
Like using
they
their
sent
gut?
undercover operatives to sign up for my private book club that I kept on Tuesday. They took out a clip of that book club, from that book club, and accused me of accusing Erica of murdering her husband. I mean, they manufactured that claim out of thin air. And then they made it go viral. They sent it out to all the right people, Steven Crowder, right?
I got that email.
Because I said he was betrayed by everyone. Obviously, what I meant was Erica Kirk murdered her husband. And this was all happening because I mentioned the Egyptian plane. I am certain. Wow. I am telling you this information has been completely verified. I am showing you this on a spreadsheet. Now, these are all the instances.
Let me make it bigger for y'all. I think this is a hoot. How does she expect somebody to honestly look at that and get anything that resembles knowledge from that? Like, what are we supposed to do with this? I mean, that's too small to read, even if it was in your hands. Like, what are you supposed to do with that, Candace? And you know it's 100% verified. By whom? By whom? It's been debunked. Like, this is adorable, man. Okay, let's go. I did it again. I'm the freeze frame vigilante up in here. Let's go.
In which this plane, 68 instances that this plane crossed with Erica.
Okay.
It is kind of embarrassing that she thinks this is cooking. Like, let me back that up just a bit so y'all can kind of, like, she really thinks what she's saying here is profound. Watch this again.
The Egyptian plane, I am certain. Wow. I am telling you this information has been completely verified. I am showing you this on a spreadsheet. Now, these are all the instances in which this plane, 68 instances that this plane crossed with Erica.
I really think, and truth be told, I really believe that she knows what she's. Oh, I got Erica on I don't have Erica on my bingo board. I really believe she knows what she's saying is crazy. I think she knows it. And she's just holding her breath. Are they going to believe this? Are they going to buy this? If you are our Candy in the chat, we try to be as welcoming to everybody here on the best live chat on the internet, because most people don't have, well, actually, I know nobody has access to the best live chat on the internet but us, because we're the best live chat on the internet. So if you're a Candy, I just want you to think about this. If you are a Candy, why does she play in your face like this? Why does she say these type of things that sound so crazy? And they sound crazy because just pretend like I said it, okay? I'm saying it. Just pretend like Donald Trump is saying it. Elon Musk, the most out-of-pocket person that wouldn't be saying that. Pretend that they're saying it. Would you believe it if they said it? I think it's fair to say I wouldn't believe this if Donald Trump was saying this. I would not believe this if Joe Biden was saying this. If Kamala Harris was saying this, I would feel the exact same way as I do right now with Candace Owens saying it. This is crazy. This is a crazy word. It's crazy. But why do you believe this? That's my question to the Candies. as you come up here to the front of the church, why do y'all want to believe this? That and Stephen Crowder and his team are about to eviscerate her. So I'm really trying to save you all. Get yourselves ready for this. But why do you even want this to be true? I mean, that's a real question. Why do you want it to be true? What does it do? What does it do? Let's say it is true. For what? Let's keep it going. Let's roll.
Okay. The Egyptian plane. I can spend a lot of time. No, Wichita, Kansas, by the way, is listed no less than 8 times as a destination on that spreadsheet for the plane SUBTT. It's an Egyptian-owned Dassault Falcon 7X. And just so you know, Wichita is like one of those primary, it's like a global hub in certified FAA service centers. And Dassault has had Wichita State University, a partnership with them since 2015. And
I said this before, and I bet you those were maintenance flights. I've said that before, and I bet you those are maintenance flights. And lo and behold, they're maintenance flights.
State University, a partnership with them since 2015. And what she just showed you would be very much in line with basic service maintenance repairs. And of course, Candace, with the initial story, missed the time of the flight of departure from Provo by about 6 hours, confused coordinated universal time with Utah time. So none of this spreadsheet does zero to substantiate Erica's whereabouts.
Nothing.
It just would look like any routine service record, maintenance record at this point. I don't know if she
And it says plus or minus 3 days.
Yeah, plus or minus 3 days.
For each one of those.
Which is very broad to take part in an assassination plot. Like you show up, you're like.
You do realize that plus or minus 3 days could effectively be a whole week. It could be a whole week. So today's Tuesday. So minus 3 days would have been Saturday. Wait, let me go back. Monday, Saturday. And then today's Tuesday. So plus 3 days would be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So yeah, that's almost a whole week's time. That's a big gap. That's a big gap. And she actually has it on her spreadsheet. It says plus or minus 3 days. So what would be the purpose of them being there 3 days before or 3 days after Erica was going to go to Pittsburgh, or 3 days before, 3 days after Erica was going to go to Utah? Like, what's the purpose of that? In a plane, though, a whole private jet.
What? He's not at the grassy knoll. He was here 3 days ago.
Well, yeah. Whenever I stalk somebody, I always make sure to arrive 3 days later and ask about where they were.
It's give or take. We're going to kill him around noonish.
She's crazy.
Utah.
She does have a point, though. Not only that, of course, I've been paid to call her the C word, but a point with the boulevards.
What is with them giving people a holiday after they kill them? Why is that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Martin Luther King, what about this holiday? What about this boulevard? Anyways, let me knock it off. Like, they're going to give Charlie Kirk a boulevard. They already did. They did in Israel. They gave a freaking boulevard. It's like, as soon as they give you a boulevard and a holiday, they definitely killed you.
She's too close to the target. She has a point when the government does a hit job, and it's on the inside.
I knew something was fishy.
Look, here's the thing. I was extended an invitation to World War debate. It's an event in January. I accepted. As I understand it, Candace Owens declined $30,000. By the way, she can have mine. Make it $60,000 if she wants to do it. I'd be happy to sit down, have a conversation, and debate where it's moderated. And if you want to open your books, we'll open our books too to see who's paid by what. Beyond that, we're not going to do the back and forth on social media. The invitation, Mrs. Owens, is always open. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
My office right now.
What? I swear, Sam, I'm in the middle of a show. Sam, I'm in the middle of a show.
Stephen, I know the demands on your time are considerable, but I had to call you in here for a very serious disciplinary infraction. On the show a little bit ago, you called Candace Owens a
No, that was actually an either-or equation.
Be that as it may, this Meshuggah infraction is very serious, and I'm going to have to discipline you by reading you the Riot Act. Please read this manual here.
$7,000.
Stephen, I hope that you read this fully and think about
Got
what
it.
you're doing.
Was there an envelope for me?
No, there wasn't one for you. Have to reach a certain threshold.
What envelope are you talking about?
Well, I think he was talking about I collect stamps.
Yes.
I actually left an envelope for you in your office, Gerald.
Yeah.
You should open it alone.
Yeah, ignore the powdered sugar.
Yeah.
And the pictures.
Hey, do you like what you saw? I don't know how, because it's on YouTube and we have to cut all the good parts.
Does anybody else still collect stamps? Does anybody still do that? I never did, but I know people that did collect stamps. I just think that's such an interesting thing. Shout out. What, we got new members up in the building? What is going on? Jay came up in here as a new member. What's up, Jay Lynn? Welcome to the family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. And also, shout out to Patrina. Thank you so much for the $5 super. She must have thought Charlie didn't have the gut feeling except for her friendship. Good point. Candace is something else, man. Candace is a treat, absolute treat. Let me see real quick. Now there's a friend of the channel. We've talked about him before. He's been on the channel before. Good old Todd Thinks, and he did a great piece that I wanted to bring in lieu of, again, like I told you, I'm not gonna keep anything serious today. Oh, real quick. Let's see my bingo board real quick. Let's see. She did not mention, oh, she said feds. She said feds killed you. Did she say FBI? A7 Gator. Do you need FBI on your bingo board? Let me know. Let's see. I think, I want to say I heard, I'm just asking questions. Oh, she said, go with your gut. So I feel. Oh, we're going to get blackout today. We're going to get blackout bingo today. You used to collect stamps, really? On purpose? Interesting. Okay. All right, let's keep this game going. And by the way, if you want to play bingo, yes, thank you so much, Tina. The link is right here. The link is down in the description as well. Grab your bingo board. Let's go have some fun. All right, I get something from Todd I thought was really good. We were going to watch it on Friday, but we didn't. So I think feds and FBI are the same. Then you know what? There we go. Thank you so much. I'm probably going to take FBI out, or I'm probably going to take feds out and get rid of Kanye West as well. Probably remove both of those off of the bingo board. We got some other cool words to add to it. Thank you, Captain Jax. I appreciate you. All right, let's keep this game going. Let's go. We got Todd from Todd Thinks. And he had a great insight that I just wanted to bring in. So shout out to him. And by the way, if the mods could drop Todd Thinks link in the chat, it would be great. Is it members only? Hold on one second. Hold on. Did I make, I think I might have made a typo. It sounds like I might have made a typo with the channel. Let's see real quick. Oh, my bad, y'all. I was making it members only. I'm sorry. Well, shout out to all the subscribers. All right, there we go. I did not see that. Let me know if that resolved the issue. Let me know if that fixes it, Tina, if you don't mind. I apologize for that. I made a mistake. All right, let's bring Todd in. Todd Thinks. Let's go.
Hello, good people. It is Todd Shannon, data scientist, social commentator, getter of buckets. And I have a question that I want to explore. It's actually kind of an unpleasant question, to be quite frank, because in many ways, I almost feel like it's too soon. But such is life, right? We don't often get to make the choices that we want to make. Sometimes those choices are made for us, and things just are what they are. And that question is, what should be Erica Kirk's next move? There's obviously an irreconcilable difference between certain people on the quote unquote right, and I'm going to put that in air quotes because I don't even know that it's accurate to say that some of these people are on the right anymore. But this conflict is not going to resolve itself. That's just a fact. And what this situation makes me think of is I love Lord of the Rings. I think I used a Lord of the Rings reference in my last live stream, where there's a scene in Lord of the Rings where Aragorn is urging Theoden, I think his name, the King of Rohan. He's like, listen, the orcs are coming. Saruman is coming. It is what it is. We've got to move these people. We got to go to Helm's Deep. And the king says, I will not risk open war. And Aragorn said something to him that stuck with me, and it reminds me of this situation, and it reminds me of many situations that I have seen since then, which is that he said, open war is upon you, whether you would risk it or not. You see, it only takes one party to declare war. And when a party declares war, they don't care if you decline to participate. They said, okay, that just makes it easier for us. We'll just slaughter you if you don't fight back. And this is the situation that Turning Point finds itself in. And Erica Kirk, as the head of Turning Point, now she has a decision to make. Because pretending like this war isn't happening is not going to bode well. Turning Point will not. I don't think Turning Point will last another couple years under these conditions. There has to be a clear direction. And there has to be, I think, a willingness for Erica Kirk to fight. So who should she be fighting? Well, let's just make it clear who the enemies are. Candace Owens has obviously declared war on Turning Point. She has declared war. She has done that explicitly. She's done it implicitly. I don't need to play the quotes anymore. If you saw my last video, I encourage you to watch it. You see where I made it clear that Erica Kirk has been clearly implicated by Candace Owens as being complicit, even though Candace is trying to slow walk and trying to soft pedal her implications.
Yeah.
She's doing a bit of a Mott and Bailey thing where she's saying on the one hand, she's not doing it. And then on the other hand, when it's convenient for her, she is implicating Erica Kirk. But that's a different subject for a different day. Candace is a clear enemy. There's no question about that. And then there's Tucker, who has decided that he was going to do the one thing that Charlie Kirk thought was a bridge too far. Platforming and normalizing a racist, anti-Semite, and a person who is absolutely repugnant to most people in the United States in Nick Fuentes. Regardless of what people are trying to say, all the revisionist history, all of the false claims that Charlie would have been okay with this. Charlie, when he was here, explicitly said, the Groypers, the Nick Fuenteses of the world, that's where I draw the line. All of this supposed free speech garbage that people are talking about, this is not a suppression of free speech. We do not have to amplify and give and boost the signal of every garbage idea in order to be, quote, for free speech. But in any case, Tucker has decided to amplify the voices of people and normalize the voices of people who have ideas that are antithetical to the ethos of the late, great Charlie Kirk and, by extension, Turning Point USA. So the question is, does Erica Kirk have it in her to go to war? And I think this is a fair question. She just lost her husband. I think emotionally, it's difficult to ask her to take on such a difficult task, because this war is ugly, as we all understand. And we're talking, obviously, we're speaking metaphorically. We're talking about ideological war, much like we talk about the culture war. We talk about the culture war as a metaphor for actual war, but there's actual bloodshed. But unfortunately, in this situation, as we have been unfortunate to experience firsthand, culture war sometimes spills over into real bloodshed. And the fact that Charlie Kirk is no longer with us is a testament to that fact. The stakes are very high. The difficulty in kind of talking about this is that it is like the illustration with Aragon, open wars upon you whether you would risk it or not. So is Erica Kirk, does she have the energy, does she have the fortitude in the wake of this horrific and horrendous loss to actually fight this battle? And so I really think Erica Kirk is going to need some support. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know who her captain or general is going to need to be. But if she is not going to be the person out in front being actually vocal and explicit about condemning the sort of things that we're seeing from the Candace Owens and the Tucker Carlsons of the world, then she has to have someone who's willing to do that. She has to commission someone as a proxy for that. And if she wants to basically keep her nose clean and be the person who is, at least in the public view, just focusing on the objectives of Turning Point USA and being positive in that respect, and having someone else who she delegates as a person who is going to actually slay the giants, right? Much like, to use maybe a crude example, you had Saul, who was the king, but he had David, who was his captain, who was out there going on these military campaigns. He was actually shedding the blood. It wasn't the king directly doing it, but he had a general, right? Does Erica Kirk have a general? And let me just lay out to you a couple of things that are going to happen. Okay. And this is why this is so important. Because you have the likes of Megyn Kelly, right? So we have the Candace Owenses and the Tucker Carlsons who are openly hostile to the ethos of Turning Point USA. This is not disputable. Okay. I don't want to hear it. It's not disputable. But then you have the Megyn Kellys of the world who soft pedal and who have hitched their wagon to the Tuckers and the Candace Owensens of the world. Now, Candace is separate. She is not attached directly to Turning Point USA. She just has this historical connection, and she's inserting herself as the de facto spokesman for the late, great Charlie Kirk, which I have said ad nauseum is the highest form of disrespect to Erica herself. That's another story. But Tucker and Megyn Kelly, early on at least, have been touring with Turning Point and have been speakers on the docket for Turning Point USA. You cannot have people on your docket who is soft pedaling ideas that are antithetical to the Turning Point objective. You cannot have it. So the question number one is there someone who's going to do the work of saying, Tucker, Megyn, I appreciate you, I respect your views, but Turning Point needs to be clear. Turning Point needs to provide the moral clarity for the people. This is not, I can hear the chorus of morons right now. This is cancel culture. This is cancel culture. Yeah, they must be over the target because they're afraid of opposing points of view. Why don't you have a debate? I'm going to deal with that in another video, okay? Because I don't have the energy right now, and I don't want to sidetrack this because this is about what Erica Kirk's next move should be. But she is obviously going to have to do that. She's obviously going to have to separate herself from this cabal of people who are now basically trying to commandeer the ideas of the late, great Charlie Kirk and what Turning Point, the objective and the ideas that Turning Point is going to forward. This anti-Israel weirdness that I don't think Charlie would have signed on to. And I apologize. Somebody is outside my house mowing the lawn. So if you hear some lawnmower in the background, I can't help it. Okay, it's what it is. But in any case, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. Do you think Erica is going to have the energy to do that? How do you think she should go about that? Should she directly actually confront these ideas and put her face on it and say, yes, I'm sorry. I appreciate what you guys did. I appreciate the relationship you had with my late husband, but we are going to go in another direction because we need to have moral clarity about this issue. Or should she have a general, someone who in her stead is going to fight this battle while she focuses on the positive and the positive objectives, not fighting battles of Turning Point USA. So she can go either way with that. I think either way would be fine, but she does, as Aragon said to the king of Rohan, open wars upon you, whether you would risk it or not, and you can't pretend like it's not happening. So I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. Let me know in the comments. If this is your first time stopping by, I appreciate you doing so. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And there's a new feature on YouTube called Hype. Every so often, the Hype button is available. Make sure you hype this up. I don't know exactly what it does, but it's kind of like some super like or something like that. I would appreciate your support if you smash that. And until next time, my friends, God bless you.
Shout out to Todd. I appreciate Todd breaking that down, and I think I agree with him 100%. And I'm gonna only caveat it. The issue is not that there are people who are anti-Semitic, aka the Candaces, the Tuckers, the Nick Fuentes, and adjacent, Megyn Kelly's. That's not the issue. The issue is that these people are morally antithetical to what Turning Point was attempting to be. That's where the problem is. Just look at Nick Fuentes and the things that he talks about. Look at Candace Owens and sitting down with Myron Gaines. These people are completely night and day different from a Christian adjacent platform. They don't even rock. It doesn't work. And I want to bring in a friend of the channel. He's passed on, but he makes a great point. And let me real quick say thank you very much to Carrie, please forgive me, for the $5 super. She may talk about how Turning Point paid for January 6th. I won't be surprised, truth be told. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Slayer says this with the $5. Thankful for you and Todd thinks, because goodness knows Candace doesn't think. So everyone has to bring logic to the conversation. You are 1,000% correct, and I'm glad that we can do it. All right, let's keep this going. What does Black Anonymous say with the 10? I have some disturbing news. With TPUSA, there is an upcoming event on December 18th to 21st. I think that's AmFest, with guest speakers you are familiar with. The event is a circus. I thought April Fool's was next year. I did not even look at what AmFest has going on. I'll look into it real quick, Black Sigma. Thank you so much for the $10. And then he comes back around with the 5. Let me make this prediction. TPUSA will not sue Candace. Dang. Thank you for the $5. I kind of agree with you. But let me tell you what TPUSA can do and what TPUSA should do. And if that's Erica directly, if that's Mike McCoy or somebody else who's a general, so to speak, as Todd gave the example, here's a real quick summary of what they should do.
Conversations with people, and I've stopped them and said, okay, hold on. I need to show you something from the Bible. And let me just go ahead and get that one out of the way, because there's some of you who are thinking that, well, you're talking about this expository apologetics, and that's great if you're talking to somebody who believes the Bible. But what if you're talking about somebody who doesn't believe the Bible? Then you've got to prove what you believe without using the Bible, because they don't believe the Bible. Says who? Says who? They don't believe the Bible, so I don't use my Bible? That sounds like their rule. Why would I do that? You know what that sounds like to me? I'm a knight in medieval times, and I walk up to my opponent, unsheath my sword. And he looks at me and says, I don't believe in your sword. Allow me to speak to thee about the science of metallurgy, so that thou mayest believe in my sword. No! I don't believe in your sword. Either he starts believing or you just win.
Shout out. And I think what Turning Point needs to do is they need to believe in the sword. They need to believe in God's word, stand on God's word, and that's it. Don't give any duck or cover. If somebody who at one point was your friend now no longer subscribes to or holds to the philosophies and beliefs that you hold to, you know what? It's been good. I'm glad that we were friends. We have great memories. Take care. Thanks for the fish. And keep on moving. This broad tent thing is crazy work, man. This broad tent thing is going to get him in trouble. I'm saying. I believe Tucker Carlson is a perfect example. All right. Shout out to there is a great subscriber. Y'all, by the way, my name is Jason Whitaker. I am not Jason Whitlock. Most of the time when somebody says Jason Whitlock, they mean Jason Whitlock. There is a commentator. There is a YouTube content creator. His name is Jason Whitlock. And he's black too, by the way. So, I mean, all black folk look alike. Don't be confused. If somebody says Jason Whitlock, they more than likely 9 times out of 10, they mean exactly who they're talking about. Uh-oh. I will make a $100 super chat proposal if you read on live stream TPUSA versus Candace Owens with that 100. Wait, did you say it backwards? Did I read it wrong? Oh, you said will not. You said will not sue Candace. Did I say something wrong? Black Sigma? I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the $5 super. I don't know what I did wrong. Hold on. Okay. I think I get what you're saying, but shout out to you for sure. Real quick, I got another one, man, I want to bring in as well. Let me real quick see. I don't know when Candace is going live. So let's see where she is with her live stream. I don't see her going live yet. Usually she starts around 5. Let's check real quick. She has not decided that she wants to go on. I got Tim Poole went on, and this was a good segment I wanted to bring in just to give some different perspectives as well. Let me bring Tim in very quickly and allow him an opportunity to tease it out a little bit. I'm going to speed this up a little. Let me bring this in first of all. How about that? How much you bring it in, Jason? Like this. There we go. Let me speed it up just a little bit because I feel like it was moving slow. All right, Tim Poole, let's go. All right. Shout out Green Hearts in the chat when you can hear, my loves.
To make this video now, we will not be, Timcast IRL will not be at America Fest 2025 this year. It is with a heavy heart that I say this, but we were not invited. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes in terms of tumult, grief, a change in views. There's a lot to break down in why we were not invited. And I believe that's because we at Timcast IRL on the show, I as well as others here, had promoted ticket sales and encouraged our viewers to purchase tickets. I have an obligation to you to explain that we won't be there. AmFest is way bigger than me. It's way bigger than this show, and they can do whatever they want. I am a little saddened that we will not be coming. We were there 3 years in a row every year, and it was very amazing. And I am eternally grateful to Charlie Kirk and the crew there for having us out the way they did. And it's sad that the vision has changed in such a way. But I don't want people who have booked tickets and plan to go, hoping to see us, to be upset that we're not there. And I have had people asking me, wait, don't say anything. But I don't think that's fair to you, who we have told to purchase tickets. So we are now 1 month away from the event. And I know that most people attending are not just attending to see me. I think I'm actually one of the smallest portion of the event, and always have been. But we represent a bit of a different audience. But I do that we have fans who show up for us. And I owe it to you to make sure you don't buy tickets or do something that you may later regret when you find out we didn't inform you. After promoting the event, we're not there. So we won't be there. And this is due to, I was informed, comments I had made that were deemed hurtful to people there. And if that's the case, hey, so be it. I get it. I'm not one to pull my punches. I criticize those that I deem to be critical. I don't think I said anything that should have been considered hurtful or offensive, but it is what it is. I think the management structure has changed as such that we are not welcome. And we're now at the point where, although I'm going to give you the full transparency and explain everything that's going on, there certainly are people at the event who do want us there. The concern that I have is that if there is any function of, we don't like what Tim has to say, I'm not here to create an awkward circumstance or bring any hostility. And so it's better that I just give you the full transparent view of where I think we are. I also want to add that I have frustrations with the politicking that is currently going on, not just related to Turning Point, but behind the scenes with many prominent personalities and politicos and politicians. I believe that people are pulling their punches, refusing to speak out because of concerns of the current infighting and the potential that things could break apart. And it is unfortunate. But I do believe that the sooner we rip the Band-Aid off, we can get refocused and try and figure out what we can do to maintain a movement and succeed in helping this country. There are many challenges ahead, certainly some of them the fault of Trump, that's for sure. And we're going to need to have an honest assessment about what is currently going on if we are going to succeed in the future. But let me give you the backstory of where we currently are and why I'm not invited to even attend America Fest. A few weeks before they murdered Charlie Kirk, the last texts I had sent to him, I asked him if we were still on for IRL as we are with most years because we wanted to get things booked in advance. Charlie told me he'd circle back the team, he'd get right back to me. And, I'm not a big fan of the revealing text or whatever, but unfortunately, they murdered him. They killed the guy who was holding everything together. I believe that Charlie was the principal voice, the strength, the glue that brought this movement together and was able to get a disaffected, moderate liberal type like me, skateboarding musician, weird guy in weird clothes, to come hang out with some suit-wearing conservatives and talk about how we can make this country better and build a movement. I truly believe Charlie would have been president someday. Following his murder, we were in constant communication with the team over at Turning Point, as we're largely friends, and my staff are friends. And we wanted to wait to be graceful and understanding in the grief. So we didn't press the issue. However, in the past month or so, we did communicate with them about what are the plans for America Fest as we do it every year. And initially, we were told nothing has changed, and the plan is as usual. And we said, sounds good. That's when we began to promote ticket sales. Again, I'm not trying to make it seem like we're principally responsible for them selling out or anything to that matter, just that we're a small component that will no longer be involved. Considering the fact that we did promote it, I want to make sure I'm being as transparent as possible. In the first year that we were invited to Turning Point, I was a bit, I've described this story before, reluctant to do so, in that it's very, very difficult. And it is asking a lot of anybody for us to try and bring us out. We have a crew of about 13 that comes with us. Seriously. We have to build a studio. We have to integrate with existing studios. We have to have coordination. There's PR and event coordination. There's a lot that goes into it. Not to mention me, my family. So we bring the crew with us. We don't need to bring literally everybody, but we do because we're better safe. It's better safe than sorry. We have to do the morning show and IRL throughout the week there, and then we do the special event on stage. And this first year, when Turning Point had reached out to us asking us to do it, I said it would be cool, but guys, I don't think it's possible. Charlie said, we got you. I said, okay, but we got to book these hotels and get the staff. And he's like, we will get you a private jet. And I was kind of shocked because to do that for me, I understand that I have a lot of followers and a big show and we get a lot of views, whatever, but we're nowhere near the biggest. We've never been. We have a big show. We do a big live stream, but a big live stream is not a big live. It's not a massive audience. It's a big live audience. So while Timcast IRL averages maybe 600, 700,000 per night, there are many more creators, personalities getting 3 million or more. So I can respect. I'm not pretending like I don't recognize that we do have influence. But Charlie knew that we reach a different group, that we're not the staunch suit-wearing conservative types. And there was something to this movement that he was willing to move mountains for. Each year that we came back, it was better. The second year we went, the first year was a little rushed. There was no, hey, Tim Pool's here, anything like that. They did put us in the promo material last minute. But the second year, they had these video edits of me. It looked really amazing. And it made me feel like part of the cool kids, you know what I mean? Like Charlie was the popular kid. He had built this thing. He had the charisma, the style, the gumption. And he said, no, you're with me, brother. And I was like, wow, look at me. I mean, Timcast's some little island off in the middle of nowhere, you know what I mean? To be invited to be a part of this big movement, I am eternally grateful for the honor to have been involved. Third year was even better. Memories, man. Ian falling off the stage, us sitting with Tucker Carlson. It really was something truly incredible. And that's why it hurts that we're not going to be there. So I've been informed that comments I had made on the Brian Callen and Brendan Schaub podcast were hurtful to some people at Turning Point USA, and for that, I would not be invited back. The comments in question were pertaining to the conspiracy theory that the highest levels of Turning Point, the executives, had intentionally murdered Charlie Kirk, and that they were celebrating and they wanted to take over. This is the conspiracy theory. I do not believe that's true. I have encountered many people who have said to me that these individuals who, I'm going to avoid saying names, but I think you know what I'm talking about. They're too happy. They're not grieving properly. They're celebrating. They're gloating about their viewership. And in response to this, as someone, as I consider these individuals to be friends, I had responded, and you guys can watch the podcast for yourself. Maybe, maybe I could have spoken better. I don't know. But the gist of my idea is, I believe it is absurd to assume or to imply that individuals at Turning Point murdered their best friend or husband, whatever the implication may be, because Charlie was the man who built this thing up and made it all. And many people had great jobs, great salaries. Some even made lots of money. Why would they kill their own friend over this? I think that's silly. And the reality is, behind the scenes, there are many people who fear Turning Point USA cannot survive without Charlie Kirk. It's not a secret. People inside the organization know this. Prominent personalities know this.
And real quick, I wanted him to just tease it out, but now I really do have a question. And by the way, I did drop the link to AmFest so you can see who's going to be there. There's some interesting characters. I do think that they need to cull that. They need to cull that down a little bit. I don't know what Tim Pool said on whatever podcast that was. I don't know what he actually said to stir up this problem to start with. I just think that's the problem, because it sounds like he was saying something that's fair and reasonable, but I don't know what he said. But let's keep it going. Let's dance.
And I will say, nobody really wants to say it. The point that I had made on the Callan and Schaub podcast was that they're trying to put on a strong face to say to the world, we will not be defeated. Terrorism will not stop us. And so they're displaying strength and trying to show that they're not going to be deterred. From this, there have been individuals who have then inferred or used it to say, aren't they acting weird? Shouldn't they be grieving? And then implying that potentially they're involved in some way. And so I think it's fair to say, I'm not involved with Turning Point. They're friends. But the truth is they are grieving. They do have fears. They do have worries, but they're showing strength for you. I was told that this was offensive, I guess, and it goes against the vision of what they're trying to portray. And for that, there was no intention to invite me back following my statements in this regard. Well, okay. Guys, no, I'm not going to get mad at anybody for not doing me a favor. It's not my party. I'm not an organizer. I'm not a donor. In fact, it was expensive for them to bring my show out there. I think the reality of this is maybe we don't see eye to eye and they don't like that I said that. And that's fair. Nobody has to just accept things that I say and be nice to me. I do think that a core element of this is, though, Charlie may not have liked everything about me. I don't know, but he was a good guy and he knew how to lead. I think ultimately, whatever Charlie thought of me, he saw value in the audience that watches my show. And I think it has to do with, we are principally disaffected liberal types, creatives, former liberals that have found more in common with the conservative movement. And thus, we bring a message, much like libertarians, to the conservative side. We bring a certain percentage that will help the conservative side win, and I want them to. I agree they should. I wish we had more political competition. But that seems to be not the vision, at least right now. Or perhaps it's just they don't operate in the same capacity that Charlie did, willing to be more amicable to other individuals. If they don't like what I have to say, then again, I am owed nothing. I owe them nothing. They owe me nothing. Now, initially, when I went to Phoenix, we did Timcast IRL for a week at the Turning Point Studios. I joined the Charlie Kirk Show, and we even fused Timcast IRL with Thought Crime, which was Charlie's nightly show with Jack Posobiec. We did it all together, and I thought everything was going pretty well. And I had asked the team there if the plan, was going to stay the same. They said, yes, the plan will stay the same. And I said, okay, sounds good. They did express to me, it's hard to do Timcast IRL. It's expensive. It's rough. And I agreed. I didn't want to imply that they were hurting or didn't have money or couldn't afford it or whatever the issue might be. I don't know. But it's expensive to bring out our whole production crew and set up a podcast on stage and hire a company to set up all the cameras. And so I had offered some options and alternatives. I said we could do a shorter show, a bridge show. We could do a weekend show. We'll figure it out. But I was told last week that basically the hammer dropped that, we'll try and see if we can have you here, but what you said was particularly hurtful, so we didn't intend on asking you back. And I'm still in communication with these guys, and, there's no circumstance where we're screaming at each other or anything like this. However, we got a message the other day saying that, look, it's just that we're full at this point, and, we'll talk to the team to see what we can figure out. And I talked with my team. I talked with some people at Turning Point. I said, guys, we're a month out from this. This is not something where we can just now at the last minute decide you've booked up, you're full. You didn't want to have me there. That's okay. Then I won't be there. You know what I mean? I was asked to wait and just not say anything and then just do my thing and let people, I don't think it's fair to those that expected us to be there. I don't think it's fair to those that we told to buy tickets because we expected to be there. And ultimately my decision was, while it is fair to say, and I think this is important, There certainly are higher ups at Turning Point who said, Tim, we're going to get you there. We want you there. My reaction was, listen, over the past several months, we have been, I understand since Charlie was killed, we haven't, we didn't immediately just say, hey, what's going on? But we have been polite in our messages saying we're really hoping to get the scheduling information because Christmas is coming up. And it's always every year we need to figure out what we're doing with family, how we're booking travel. Is it going to be covered by Turning Point or otherwise? And we were constantly just being told, we'll let you know. Well, as of yesterday, being told once again, we're full, but we'll let you know. I talked with my team and I said, I think we have to make a decision. And after talking about it, we said, if the response was they didn't want us there, then I don't think we should put any pressure on them to have us there. It's not my party, and I don't want to be a part of something that, at the very least, is not unanimous in their decision of whether or not Timcast IRL should be a part of this. If there's anybody at the higher ups who said, we're not inviting you, Tim, then my response is like, bro, I'm not a party crasher, and far be it from me to make any phone call or tell you have to have me. I don't play that game. We certainly have a bunch of opportunities we're pursuing, and there's other things that we're going to be doing for our end of the year finale. I just think that, my conversation with some of these guys was all good things. All good things. Behind the scenes, there is infighting to which people don't realize is particularly severe. Prominent personalities are unwilling to discuss what their concerns are, and I feel like this is damaging to the movement. I am a small island of a weird space. I'm not a staunch conservative, suit-wearing guy, pro-life, or whatever, any of those things. But we do have bridges to these other networks, and we hope to succeed because Trump represents something better than the alternative. It does feel like beyond this, with the Tucker Carlson controversy around Turning Point, with the Candace Owens controversy pertaining to Turning Point, this was the glue. Turning Point was the glue that held everything together, and it's breaking apart. I genuinely believe it was because Charlie was the one who did it. I believe that Charlie would text back everybody. He would assuage fears. He would negotiate and coordinate. And I really do think he made almost all of this possible. Because I got to give some credit to Donald Trump for being who he is. And now with everything I'm seeing, I think the vision has changed. My personal opinion is, many people have asked me, don't say anything, because they're concerned the story of the infighting is going to inflame. But I believe that I think the views and the vision of what we represent and what the movement is going to be is something just very, very different for a variety of reasons. One, that Charlie was holding things together, finding the points of unity between America First, neocons even, of course, is a big issue, as well as disaffected liberals. And now there's a question of this. What is America Fest? What is Turning Point? What is the movement? And who should be allowed in it? There are questions of whether Tucker Carlson should be allowed in it. Certain individuals have been very critical of Candace and Tucker, labeling them anti-Semites. Even Megyn Kelly by the Babylon Bee. They made a joke about, I do think this is important in this context. The Babylon Bee made a joke that said, out of an abundance of caution, Megyn Kelly throws away her pager. And the joke was that Israel would kill an American citizen who speaks out against them. Many of the pro-Israel individuals on X said, no, the joke is that she's paranoid that Israel would kill her. I disagree. The satirical article, which is a joke and I have no problem with, ended by saying that Megyn Kelly's dumpster exploded. The joke was Israel tried to murder Megyn Kelly. I'm not trying to rehash drama related to the Megyn Kelly thing, but to point out that there is a massive rift between prominent personalities as to what the future of this movement will be. Will it support military aid to Israel as a principal issue or just military intervention and foreign aid? Will it be America only? Not even America First. Will it include pro-choice, disaffected liberals who dress like this, play music, and aren't staunch conservatives? I do believe that there's a strong element right now that they're closing ranks. And since Charlie's murder, leadership has a different vision. And that is, my vision of what Turning Point becomes in the future is that it's not going to be this big tent movement that invites Cenk Uygur, Tim Pool, James Lindsay, and others onto the stage. Despite my criticisms of James Lindsay, I can still point out Charlie Kirk, of course, was willing to bring on people of different views. I think that if you look at the controversy, drama, and statements that we have learned about, partly through Candace Owens is revealing of text and things, whatever your opinion may be, I think you start to realize that donors want a certain mechanism. And I wonder this, the threat we faced from woke, and what is woke? The cult-like orthodoxy of the left, the adherence to their worldview, their manipulations, their lies, whatever it may be. It was amorphous, but it changed. But the threat we faced from a political group that was willing to do literally anything so long as it's opposed to you was serious. Opening the borders to anybody, giving away our manufacturing, giving children sex changes. It's important to unify if we're going to defeat a greater evil. But what happens when you do? This was always inevitable. I had stated this years ago. I fully expect at some point that I will be not considered right-wing. I'll be considered left-wing. Things will change and movements will change. And it's even funny now to see Anna Kasparian, of all people, talking about how she likes watching Candace Owens, because these things change. What I mean to say is, with the principal demise of woke, and we can see the Democrats are kind of routed. Socialists are taking over. Chuck Schumer's on the way out. AOC might primary him. And things are getting pretty weird for the Democrats. They don't have a backbench. Who's going to be their candidate in 2028? The sentiment starts to become, we no longer have a unified enemy. So a disaffected liberal type, centrist, moderate like myself, well, now the debate isn't so much what is Bud Light doing? What is Target doing? What is TLC or Disney doing? No, a lot of these programs have been crushed. It's harder to get donations. It's harder to sell the movement when you no longer have a grand enemy. The left still has their Trump, but it's not enough for the average person. Thus, debates form. Individuals on the right might say something like, we need to now focus on stopping the flow of money to foreign countries, Israel in particular, which is a big issue for Candace and Tucker, of course. But then there are individuals on the right who are very, very adamant that we continue to fund Israel. And thus, the rift begins. You now have anti-Zionist, pro-Zionist, anti-Semitic as a portion as well. America First, international globalists, John McCain style neocon, all of these rifts start to emerge because we are not focused on a singular enemy. As the Democrats have largely been routed, Republicans won every facet. And here we sit asking ourselves, what is the next big move? The moderate conservative types, more likely neoconservative, are in favor of Trump's H-1Bs. The America First anti-interventionists, a part of this coalition, are very much opposed to H-1Bs. Libertarians are taking issue with Trump's stance on Israel, as well as foreign funding, and thus the cracks begin. So I don't take it personally. I think this is just what happens. Behind the scenes, I feel that there is an effort to resist this change, and I can respect it. We don't want the movement to break because there is a power in unity that will allow us to win, and we have to win the midterms. Democrats haven't just ceased to exist. So there are many individuals who have spoken with me and said, Tim, please just say nothing and keep doing your thing. There have been individuals who said, we will intervene on your behalf and make them invite you. And my answer is, that's never been me. I'm not one to play those games. I want Turning Point to succeed, and I have no doubt this year will be the biggest and the best. And if I'm not invited because of how leadership views things, then, hey, look, man, as I've always said, I really have no problem living in a van down by the river. We'll make it work. I do my thing. I do what I do. And that's it. I feel like the movement is breaking apart because we've won largely. So it's not really bad news, but there is something to pay attention to. So in that, as people have pointed out to me, maybe we shouldn't say anything, please, Tim, this infighting is really bad. I'll tell you, I've had journalists reaching out to me and I'm like, how do they know what's going on? No, seriously, I've had journalists, they're messaging me I think people internally at Turning Point, of course, have been talking. It's fairly obvious considering Candace Owens seems to have sources. There are concerns over what happens to the biggest political organization. Considering views are changing and what is considered to be the most important element, we don't agree on. You know what really breaks my heart in this is that last year, and I had been talking to Charlie about this, that I said AmFest might be the new South by Southwest. The Daily Wire had a party. James O'Keefe's party had lines out the door going down the street. And I said, I can't believe how many people you've brought together for this amazing thing. And we had discussed doing a Timcast party this year. And this was one of the reasons why we were asking them, hey, please let us know what the plan is. We wanted to have ancillary events as this got bigger and bigger. Maybe it will, and I hope it does. If that happens, guys, I'm not going to pretend that I'm not upset. I'm sad that we won't be a part of it. I could have certainly applied pressure, but I'm not that guy. I don't make the phone calls and say, hey, man, you tell them they better have me. I don't do that. As I said, when it came to the Joe Rogan thing, when the first time I was supposed to go on Joe Rogan, he canceled on me. The second time, he canceled on me, leaving me high and dry. And I said, listen, I'm never going to get mad at someone for not doing me a favor. My attitude is if something happens, it's always your fault. I know it's not literally true, but that's how I approach things, which means I have to do my best, focus on what I have to do to succeed for myself, not rely on other people, nor force other people to do anything for me. If this is where we end up, it is just what it is. I want more people on the right to speak up about what they see happening with Turning Point, because if we don't rip the Band-Aid off now and speak out about this division and why we are fighting, it's going to get worse. The critiques, the concerns, I'll tell you this behind the scenes, related to everything you've seen with Candace and Tucker otherwise, it's much, much more than anyone realizes, and everyone's trying to be diplomatic. But at a certain point, I think it behooves any one of us to say, guys, it's not getting any better. It's a slow roll. Let's assess this right now, be honest with the people who rely on us, who watch us, who expect from us that there is serious infighting, much worse than people realize. And it's not my business to call out individuals' issues, but my own, which is what I'm doing, because if we don't, then We will find ourselves in a midterm wondering why we are not unified and why we are losing an election, or why we lost, why Republicans lost these past couple of months. Here's my expectation. America Fest this year is going to be crazy. It's already sold out. It's massive. They're full up. They got tons of speakers. I think people are going to have an amazing time, and I hope you guys do, and I hope they succeed. I hope they grow bigger and better than ever. I know people who make podcasts about true crime drama, and I know people who make podcasts about cooking. Other people succeeding has never been a detriment. I've met people in my life who have betrayed me, and I'm not going to hold a grudge against somebody. I don't want to waste my thoughts and energy on those other people. Now, as for Turning Point, perhaps they view it as my comments were a betrayal of them. And that's fine. They can think what they want to think. There are certain members of Congress who are mad at me and refuse to come on the show. Not Republicans, mind you, because I very, very much criticize them. That's going to be what it is. It's going to be what it is. Just know this. When all is said and done, I want to win. I know you do too, and we should. And it was a dream come true while it lasted. But now something different is happening, and things are changing. And I don't know what that means, but it's always to be expected. A new generation is rising up, and they have deep concerns about Donald Trump. Gen Z is breaking away, and the pollsters are showing this. Prominent conservatives that are, I'm not trying to be derisive, but who float into the neocon camp, don't care that young people are drifting from Trump. They're going to maintain the pro-foreign policy intervention message because they believe in it. And they've been allowed, they're allowed to. But I think younger people are concerned over the mission and message of Donald Trump, and I think this will have a negative impact on us. But what do you do? If people aren't unified by this, what do you do? Turning Point maybe sees this. And I'll tell you my thoughts on this one. I wonder if I represent an anti-interventionist faction. Tucker Carlson does too, as does Candace Owens. And I wonder if that's the real reason. I've not said anything particularly disparaging about AmFest, but they told me I couldn't come. Why? Maybe it's because I said we should stop funding Israel. Maybe.
Okay, I really want Tim to tease this out. And I see a lot of people in here kind of, I think you're landing in the same sentiment I have. It's really weird to me that people say they want us to be America first, America only, think about America on whatever. But the first thing you talk about is something going on in Israel. Why are we not talking about the things right here? Like, why are we not making this much? Why are we not dividing over the border? Why are we not dividing over runaway spending? Why are we not going hard in the paint about this craziness with the budget or SNAP, fill in the blank, education system? Why are we immediately saying, hey, we're all about America, but then the next word out your mouth is something outside of America? I just don't understand that part. And again, I think part of the problem, in my opinion, is that we really are not interested in America. We really aren't. We're really like, there's no way you could say, if you're married, shout out to the married persons in the chat. You go to your wife, you go to your husband, you look them deep in their eyes and your knees are touching each other. You're looking at them and say, I'm for this marriage. I'm really about us having a flourishing. I want it, however good the yesterday was, I want tomorrow to be exponentially better. Little Susie over there really gets on my nerve. Little John over there, man, I'm so sick of them. That would make no sense at all. But that's the first thing you hear these people talk about. What if you and your spouse were having a heated debate, argument, discussion because something going on in somebody else's house? And let's be crazy on the other side of town. Like, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I'm sorry, I'm not even going to say that Israel has no point, or we shouldn't do anything with foreign policy. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, however, is why are we not fixing the stuff that we have right at our own fingertips? At our own exact fingertips. Why are we not taking care of that? Why is the only way to solve what's going on in Cobb County, Georgia, is for us to run over to Israel and fight with them? Why is the only way to fix what's going on in Podunk, Tennessee, is to worry about what's going on somewhere 9 time zones away? How does that correlate? I don't understand. I'm not that smart. I admit it. I'm just not smart enough to understand how that works and why that works. I don't know why it works even. So it's just crazy work to me. So I'm finding this a very interesting, I think, Tim, I hate that they're not going to have him back. I don't know if there was some real issue, some real rift. Maybe there's some political viewpoint change. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What I do know, however, is a lot of the rifting that we're seeing, this quote unquote war, like the fact that Tim said we've won, conservative Republicans have won. Won what? Our border is just a little less open, screen door. It's just a little less. Our finances here are just a little less out of control. I mean, that's not saying a whole lot. There's a lot that we need to deal with. The end zone dancing is entirely too early. We are celebrating entirely too, like, won what? What have we won? There's not one thing that's in place that can't be undone and taken away with a pen stroke of a new president, of a new Congress, of a new Senate. Just a couple pen strokes away from changing and flipping everything on its head. What did we win? What did you win? I'm sorry. All right, let's bring this back in. Let's go. Finish up with Tim Cass. Let's go. Tim Pool. Let's go.
Maybe it's because I said we shouldn't be giving money to Ukraine. Maybe it's because young people largely don't want foreign intervention, and there are individuals in politics who disagree. So I will say this. I've been given the official reason. I had made hurtful comments. Maybe. I had been told they're full. Hard to do. Perhaps. Tucker Carlson is expected to speak there. Maybe
Crazy.
It's just it would be too difficult to cancel him. Candace Owens certainly would not be speaking there. But I do wonder if one of the main reasons is that there is an effort to consolidate around a pro-interventionist liberal economic order faction. The use of Tim Pool is no more. We don't need a disaffected liberal who's anti-war and anti-intervention. That's not what the movement needs. The movement needs those who are going to champion foreign investment and foreign intervention. I'm not saying that's definitively why it happened, nor am I trying to cast aspersions nor impugn the honor of anybody. But I think one of the principal rifts right now is that young people do not care about our involvement in these foreign countries. They want to know how they're going to buy a house and have a family. But I believe if you're going to change this, you need an organization that reaches students that's going to advocate for a worldview that sees it the other way.
I'm going to jump in. I agree with Tim. I have 2 young daughters that eventually one day I want them to move out. And I do understand the world we live in is kind of wild. It's not the world when I was getting ready to go to college. It's not the same world. The problem is we don't see a balanced concern. We see a great deal of concern. Like we're fighting over what's going on in Gaza here in the United States. We're fighting over that here on Main Street, United States. We're fighting with parting ways with, throwing hands with Americans about what's going on in Gaza. That just doesn't make any sense. That just doesn't make sense. And so therefore, there needs to be a flipping of concern. We need to be worried about what's going on right here. We're not protesting our education system. We're not protesting about our runaway budget. We're not talking about that stuff. We're talking about stuff going on elsewhere. And we can still talk about those things. But the most important issue should be, why in the world can our young adults not buy houses? Why are they renting everything? That's insane. And even in the renting, they can't afford to rent. Like that's bonkers. So no, we don't accept that. And so therefore, we're going to focus on this right here. We're going to still do those things over there, but they're not going to get as much of our attention or our resources as things here in the States. That's really it. And I feel like we're not arguing for the things that we really need. We're arguing for things that other people might need. And that maybe we need to get into the brass, get into those weeds, but really we need to get into the weeds here. Like, let's not lose focus because again, we're parting ways with people over stuff going on that's not even really in our purview, not even in our backyard. It's in somebody else's yard 9 time zones away. Let's finish this up.
And so maybe. I'm sure there will be many thoughts, critiques, commentary. I'm sure there will be lies, manipulations, insults, insinuations, all those things. I don't know. I'm going to do my thing. And that is I'm going to play music, skateboard. I'm going to play poker, watch cartoons, play video games. And I'm going to read the news and discuss what I'm passionate about forever. And we'll find unity where we do. But I wouldn't be surprised to find that the factions diverge further in the coming months and become something totally different. Anna Kasparian praising Candace Owens. Who saw that one coming, right? But it's because our worldviews are not absolute. Certainly the woke people just fall in line because that's kind of the element of, that's like the core of woke, right? But for those of us that have been deemed on the right, we all actually disagree quite a bit, but we were unified around a common enemy, this cult-like adherence to the corporate orthodoxy, the liberal orthodoxy, and now that seems to be largely shattered, so what's going to happen? Well, there are some people that say Tucker shouldn't interview Nick Fuentes because Nick Fuentes says nasty things. There will be some people that believe in free speech and say Tucker can interview whoever he wants. There will be some people who believe that Turning Point murdered Charlie.
Tucker can interview whomever he wants. That's not the problem. The problem is Tucker doesn't have carte blanche. I cannot accept the people that Tucker interviews. Tucker can interview whomever. But for Turning Point to turn around, in my opinion, they knew this was coming. They had Tucker at the memorial service. They gave Tucker a seat at the on Charlie Kirk's podcast, and then had him come back again for a Turning Point USA event. What did he do with all that great bravado? He turned around and had Nick Fuentes on camera on his own podcast. Nobody would actually, I don't think anybody would be concerned if Tucker Carlson had not been basically knighted by TPUSA. If that had not happened, I don't think anybody would really be concerned about him having Nick Fuentes. But I don't think Tucker would have had him on there if he had not been knighted by TPUSA. Because I think the goal is to launder Nick Fuentes into the mainstream and make him somebody that's just mainstream, dinner table type of person. That's what they're trying to do, in my opinion. Let's go, Tim.
Charlie Kirk. It was an inside job. I think that's probably not correct. Very unlikely. But they're going to say, don't platform these people. We recently booked Nick Fuentes. He canceled on us. And I wonder if that has something to do with it as well. Nobody attacked us. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me clarify. What I was going to say is that we didn't have Nick on, and so we didn't get a big backlash. We were, however, minorly insulted and attacked because we did plan on booking Nick Fuentes. Perhaps that's a reason why we're no longer to be involved. Now, some might say that's not true. They're having Tucker there. Yeah, but Tucker is, 100 times bigger than us? Come on. It's easy to say, thanks, Tim, have a nice day. It's not as easy to say no to Tucker. And so part of me feels like that may be the real reason. I don't know. You know, the answer that I was given, that me saying, quote, there are people that are concerned Turning Point can't make it without Charlie, that's the reason. I really find that hard to believe. But who am I and what do I know?
I kind of believe that, though.
Listen, guys.
I think Turning Point's going to struggle without Charlie and without a clear vision and a clear leader. I do think you can have some great voices there at the college campuses, but if you don't have a strong leader running the ship from behind and really sending the generals out, sending your advisors and lieutenants into various and sundry, I do think they are going to struggle. And Charlie Kirk was really the backbone. I think that's ultimately what we're seeing, is that Charlie was literally the glue. As he said here, which I thought was very interesting, that Charlie would be the one texting and making these connections and smoothing over things and negotiating stuff like that. I mean, he had a lot of hats. He had a lot of hats. What did Black Sigma say here? Real quick, thank y'all so much for the very kind supers. He says this is my opinion. Tucker interviewed Nick to fill a void, that Charlie to reach out to the young men. That's a punk move. I agree, and I don't think that he thought it out well, I'm sorry, take that back. I do think he thought it out exactly what he wanted to happen, and that's exactly what he did. Um, Black Sigma also says this with the 5. Tucker and Candace are in cahoots, like finger cross cahoots. You know what? I don't disagree with that. I think that their moves are not happenstance and not haphazard. They're intentional for sure. And I also know intentionally Irene with the $10 super says this. Has Candace explained why she wasn't at her good friend's funeral? She said that she wasn't at the memorial service because it wasn't going to be safe. Okay. She said it wasn't going to be safe for her. And she wasn't invited, like having special VIP treatment. So she would just been in with the hoi polloi with the great unwashed. So I don't think that's why. I think that's ultimately why she didn't, because she wasn't invited to come as a VIP guest. But let's keep going. Has she mentioned Kanye West yet and his apologizing to the Jews yet? She has not. And I don't think that she's going to. But I think, as I said earlier, thank you so much, Irene, for the very kind $10 super. I do think that kind of gives validity to the fact that that Kanye event did actually happen, because a lot of people were saying it was AI and it wasn't real, blah, blah, blah. I think the fact that she hasn't said anything kind of tells me that it's real. But hey, let's finish up with Tim, because Candace is going live at 5:45.
I'll wrap it up. I've had so many people telling me what to say and what not to say. And I'm like, guys, every time you tell me how I should handle this, it just makes me want to go nuclear. I'm so sick of the politics. Tim, you can't come off weak. Tim, you can't make it look like you're being over emotional. You can't make it look like you're sour grapes. Guys, I don't care. I can say whatever I want to say, and people are going to think about me whatever they want to think about me. And that's always been the case. And it will always be the case that sometimes I say dumb things and look like a moron. I got goofy teeth. I'm bald and wear a beanie. I get it. I'm too old to skateboard or play guitar. It's who I am. People tell me you're a degenerate for playing poker. I love poker, and I'll never deny who I am because of what other people think. And if that means people don't want to watch, so be it. You were never under any obligation to like me. But to those that do, or to those that don't like me but still think it's valuable in listening to me, this is for you. You have my tremendous respect, and I think that worldview would lead us to great success. The acceptance, the challenge, the debate, all of these good things. So whatever. I'm not here to craft a PR statement. I didn't script anything. I think it is what it is. I think it's important that I tell people what I'm thinking, and this is all kind of a culmination of a lot of different stories. Notably, first and foremost, me telling my team, guys, I think we need to tell people that we're not going to be there. Like, we have a month out, we can't book this. And yeah, I'm a little hurt, I guess. I wish I could be there. I don't want to put pressure on anybody and tell them they have to have me, nor pull any backroom deals. It's not my business. It's not my party. I don't need to be there if they don't want me there. No one owes me anything. I am never going to demand of you, you work for me or you give me stuff. It was an honor of a lifetime to have been involved as we were. I feel like there were people who were trying to put pressure on my behalf to get us to come because they're concerned it would look bad if I came out and said we weren't going to be there. And I'm just like, I get it. But I don't play those games. I'm not here to hurt anybody, offend anybody, damage anybody's business or movement. I think transparency is important, and I say it in a way that I think is reasonable. I have continually defended Turning Point. I think these conspiracies about them killing Charlie are absurd. I think, clearly, as you can see from this, I feel like the change in vision may be an ultimate detriment. That's what it is. They're who they are. I am who I am. I look forward to having debates with them on my show, should they still be willing to come, be it the left, the right, or otherwise. We'll see. But I have fears. I have been told that as I've criticized people on the right, I've been attacking people. But when I criticize people on the left, I'm not. I bet people say that to me. I have had communists who advocate for child sex changes on my show, and no one's concerned about that platforming. Well, it's because I argued against them. I had phone calls from people saying I should never have Kanye, Nick Fuentes, or Milo on. How could I? But I challenged him, pushed back, and he stormed off the show and then said, oh, that was actually a good job. So I don't understand this world where they say you can't have Nick Fuentes on. Had him on already. I don't understand this world where they say Tucker is bad and he's got to be deplatformed and donors are going to pull out. I'm like Charlie. Charlie said, okay, try me. The more you push, the more I push back. Charlie was 100 times bigger than me, and he built something substantially much, much larger. But you know what, guys? I'm a rogue, not a paladin. That's what I told Matt Walsh. I do my thing. I do what I believe is good and true, and I hope it helps you. And I appreciate that you guys support me the way you do. Thank you all so much for your continued support. To the people who are involved with Turning Point, I still consider you guys my friends. This is just what it is, and I hold no ill will or animosity, and a little jealous, 'cause I know you guys are going to have an amazing event, and it's going to be the biggest and the best, and I think people should go and enjoy themselves. And I hope in the future it stays the same. I will also end by saying to those of you behind the scenes who have grievances, doubts, concerns, you best speak now, because you cannot just ignore all of the infighting and the drama and what's happening, as it'll only make things worse. So there we go, my friends. That's about it. Shout out to the career, shout out to my friends. It's been a heck of a ride. I look forward to next year and the coming shows. We're live again tonight at 8 p.m. And I'll see you all then.
All right, Tim Pool. All right, shout out to Tim Pool. I think JD619 comes in, and I really think he has his finger on the issue at hand. Shout out. Thank you so much for the $5 super, by the way. He says this: do not think that I have come to bring peace on earth. I do not come to bring peace, but a sword. And that's Matthew 10:34. In the New King James, truth divides. The truth should divide, and it should set some people apart. And so having Nick on, having Tucker on, and such of that nature does water down, dull the sword of truth when you're trying to divide in other sense or stand firm in other ways. So I do think that there's a problem there, but I don't think that the problem is what or how Tim expressed it, but rather I do think there's a vacuum of biblical guidance there that they really need to get their arms around. Are they really going to stand on certain principles and just be there? And that's just where we are. We don't have to. Sure, we can still. I think the problem is, though they have some grounding, I don't think they're able to properly apply that grounding or know how to stand on it or how to build on it. Therefore, they're not able to engage with the Nick, or they really shouldn't be having Tucker on there, whatnot like that because of it. But even more than that, like I do kind of wonder, like, why do people like Nick need to come onto a Turning Point? Is there a reason why? Is Turning Point obligated to platform these particular persons? Why? Go build your own, do your own thing. Like, what's the purpose? Why do I need to be here? We can argue about ideas, or I can parse apart your ideas on camera. Like, why do I need to bring you on to talk about it? Like, that just seems weird. And again, I think Tucker Carlson proved that bringing somebody on and then sitting there glazing over all of his bad ideas and almost money laundering them doesn't help, because now he's gotten your blessing. He's gotten your thumb of approval, and it's almost as if you gave him tacit agreement to his sin. Shout out, man. Thank you so much for that. I think, Tim, hey, I hate that it went like that. But again, if Charlie Kirk was the face of TPUSA and really driving the relationships and such like that, then this is a natural occurrence. This should not surprise anybody. It should not take anybody by surprise or cause any great consternation, because ultimately this is what happens. You have changes in leadership, and now somebody else is going to roll in a different direction. That's not bad. It doesn't seem odd. So I don't know why he would be worried about it. All right. Shout out to the best live chat on the internet. If only Tucker and Candace behave like Tim. I agree. I think Tim handled it well. I mean, didn't get on there and just drag him or anything of that nature. I think that was excellent. We'll see how it pans out. But yeah, shout out to Tim for sure. And I've never seen an AmFest. So Tim Pool was doing like a live stream from there. I don't know, built a studio there and just did his show. I don't follow Tim Pool like that. So, all right, well, we got lots of good conversation. in the chat. Always got that good family reunion going on. I really wasn't clear on that. That's funny. I really wasn't clear on what he said. And it sounds like he might not have been clear on what he said that really was the, straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. So I hate that for him. I really wish he'd have like clear guidance on what it is. You said this. But yeah, shout out real quick. Thank you so much, Slayer, with the $5 super. Says this, Tucker can interview whoever he wants, but it's my free speech to say Fuentes has terrible takes and promotes views that are anti-biblical and immoral. That's it. But see, that's not cancel culture. That's me saying I don't rock with that. And again, nobody's, maybe if we did like a whole, everybody rush and unsubscribe to this person because I don't like them, or everybody rush and don't subscribe to this person. I guess maybe you could say that's a form of cancel culture. I don't know. I try not to do that. I try not to weaponize the best live chat on the internet because y'all are the best live chat because we don't do those type of things. And we try to be as conciliatory and as open to the various and sundry ideas that might pop up into the best live chat. And we try to rock with them. So it's not a matter of, hey, because I disagree with y'all, go everybody run over there and unsubscribe to this person, or everybody run over there and comment bomb somebody's comment section. No, that's not, no. You will never find me doing that. You'll hear me say, hey, when you get done with this live stream, go over there and subscribe to their channel, drop a green heart in the chat, that kind of stuff like that, because that's what we're trying to do, is build up a community that supports good content creators. If you're a bad content creator, just be a bad content creator. We don't got to go out and attack Nike. Nike's just a bad shoe brand. We're just going to know they're going to be a bad shoe brands, right? I just say, hey, when you get done, y'all go out there and buy yourself. Y'all go up there real quick and buy yourself some Adidas. No, I'm not going to say, hold on. Now let's not get beside ourselves, Ruben. If somebody's over here putting raisins in the potato salad, they got to go to the block party. We got to get rid of that. No, we don't do profanity. We try our best not to do name calling and the such of that nature. And we try to keep our conversation highbrow. So most of the time, I don't generally have to put people in block in the mods. We've had this conversation about that, but we try not to do that. We try not to do that. Now there are some people that they want to go to the block party. Okay, then go ahead and go do your thing. Well, we don't got to make a big deal out of it. So, but good question though. No, man, y'all are yourselves, President Not Perfect. Good to see you, friend. Always good to see you. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. By his grace for sure. Chicago Bulls struggle without Michael Jordan when he retired for 1 year. TPUSA will struggle without Charlie. I mean, that's a great analogy. Perfect. Live long 6685. That's right on the nose. My goodness, man. That's a dope one right there. I got to save that one because it's true. That's exactly what it is. Now, yeah, that was perfect. I can't even add anything else to that one. Shout out. Y'all put 6685 in the chat. That was right on the money, man. That one right there, that dog will hunt. As we say here in the South, that dog will hunt. Do you think that if they uninvited Tucker, that the conspiracy theories would just get worse and TPUSA could see that happening? I don't know. I don't know fully the complexities behind the scenes, Ben, because you're deliberately inviting somebody into your house that doesn't like that has been speaking bad about your wife. You're intentionally inviting somebody into your home that speaks bad about your husband. Now, sure, you could just say, the fact that I opened the door up and the person walked in, I invited the person in, sure. But now I know that the person is talking reckless. Why do you have to invite him in again? Maybe you didn't know the first time. Let's just pretend. At the memorial service, you was trying to be all kumbaya. Okay, maybe you didn't know. But y'all had him come on the Charlie Kirk podcast. And then you had him on the tour. And he cussing at students and stuff like that. Like, At what point do you protect the brand more than the quote unquote relationship? And why do you have to have Tucker Carlson there? Like AmFest, why does he have to be there? Like maybe leave him on red or something. Ghost them. Why does he need to be there? I don't get that part. This is a very good question. I don't know why either, Sandy. That's what I'm saying. Like, if we made our politicians deal more with what they're doing here in the United States than foreign entities and foreign interests, I do think we would be much happier, and we wouldn't care. Like, we wouldn't be as concerned if they spend $8.45 somewhere else abroad, because they're spending the majority of their time and their focus and the resources here on the United States in our interests. To me, that just makes sense. Well, thank you so very much. I appreciate you being here. All right. And are the speakers at AmFest paid? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't. MJ number 7, best shoe ever made. Were they made by Adidas? Okay. Let's remember that. Let's get in line now, sir. Let's get in line and stay on focus. Hey man, some people put raisins in potato salad, man. There are people out there, man. We gotta pray for them. I don't know about this one, GS70. I do understand what you're saying, and there have been instances where I may have even disagreed with what I'm about to say. The issue is, in my opinion, persons need to take these bad takes and these horrible ideas that Nick holds and hold them up in light of Scripture and make those Nick's argumentation be judged by Scripture and develop a clear and robust understanding of why what this person is saying is wrong in light of Scripture. You don't need Nick Fuentes in order to do that. I don't need to have him on the channel in order to look at him and say, and bring up a clip of him calling somebody the N-word or women's bees or his ridiculous takes about marriage or all that kind of stuff. I don't need him to be on the platform to say that. Because remember, Tucker Carlson had him on and he didn't challenge any of those things. He didn't challenge one thing. He got tricked into talking about Stalin. He got tricked into talking about about Jews in Israel. He didn't get challenged on anything. Tucker Carlson was in there like a dummy. So I don't know if having him on is as necessary as just learning, teaching, and developing thinkers who can parse apart these bad ideas. That's where I think the magic is. Y'all make sure y'all put 6685 up in there. Uh-oh, shout out from South Africa. Can't sleep, South Africa in the house. What's going on? Zadin, thank you so very much for coming on through, hanging out with us. All right. We need content creators that youth listen to, that are positive, help them have common sense and clarity. See, that's what I'm saying. Like that to me is far more important. Developing young persons, like that's what Charlie was doing on the college campuses, developing young people who are able to understand their ideas, articulate their ideas, formulate them based upon, reimagine them based upon new information, and so on and so forth. That's what I think Charlie was trying to do. And I think we're missing that because we keep running old horses. We need younger horses. Thank you so very much. What do you have here? Jalen, thank you so much for the $10 super. Nick is a character. He is only in it for the shock value. He tapped the cancel culture rage and gets paid for it. I think you're 100% correct. And, there's actually, the more I think about it, let's go back in the theater of our minds. Remember shock jocks Remember Howard Stern when he first came on? I don't know if Rush would be considered a shock jock as much, but definitely that shock jock Howard Stern type of effect. Hey, he leaned in on it. And is it possible that that's what Nick Fuentes is doing in a modern, and because we're not familiar with it, he just kind of comes across like this is a new cutting edge idea, but it's really just doing the same thing Howard Stern and other shock jocks. What was the other one's name? There were a couple of them that were really wild in the late 80s, 90s, going into 2000s. That really just, and this is well before, live streaming and such of that nature. But maybe that's it. Maybe that's what he's doing. So it's a great question. Got me thinking. I think because you said shock value, that stood out to me. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Jay Lynn. All right, let's get down here and see. I don't know what Rush would say about this. I think Rush would be, I don't think this would be going the way that Rush would have anticipated, in my opinion. In my opinion. I'm not a, Rush Limbaugh aficionado. Who never got arrested? Yeah, I think this is a great thing, Anita. Charlie had the testimony and teachings of Jesus Christ, not just politics, which I think is great. And I like the fact that, again, as I've been talking about this, I've said, like, hey, Charlie made it a big deal to show on the stage and on his platform that where his ideas were formulated from come from his biblical understanding. Whether or not I agree with everything he supported theologically, that's not my argument. However, I keep bringing this up to the Candies, shout out to the Candies in the chat. Can y'all ever show me a video of Candace actually espousing and teaching, explaining her biblical worldview, her worldview from scripture? I would love to hear that. I just want to see what she talked about. Because, she's on the stage with Charlie in a lot of instances, but then she treats it like she had never seen it before when he talked about things like faith and so on and so forth. Let's bring this in just so we can be ready. So Candace is going hot now, y'all. Let's get it going. Let's go. Let's see what she's saying. All right, let's keep this dance until further notice.
All right, you guys, happy Tuesday. Rob McCoy, America's pastor. Remember, Charlie told me I was America's pastor. Well, it sure as heck seems that this American pastor travels to Israel a lot. A lot of these American pastors do. And he went there the other day to, of course, honor Charlie Kirk. We're going to talk about that. And I want to just say, Zionists are confusing at best. They say Charlie was their bestest friend forever and ever. Yet for whatever reason, they are deeply upset by this investigation. They are deeply upset that we revealed the license plate numbers associated with the Egyptian frequent flyers. Why do you think they're upset about that? I don't understand. Why would something like that upset them? It's almost like they know something that we don't. And we're going to figure out what that is. Welcome back to Candace.
It's wild. It's wild that she doesn't realize that she docks people. She cannot be this obtuse. She can't be this obtuse. That's wild work, y'all. Shout out to the best live chat. Green hearts in the chat that you can hear.
So a couple of housekeeping items to start. My sister is an accountant. She hit me up this morning and she told me that actually the filing deadline, if you filed for an extension, which we can assume Turning Point did, was November 15th for this year. So their filing would have been due on Saturday, this last Saturday for Turning Point USA. And it is possible that they did file it on Saturday and maybe it's being processed. It would have been late beginning yesterday when we covered it. So I just wanted to update you guys on that. And of course, we will keep refreshing.
That's another example, ladies and gentlemen, of Candace Owens showing no due diligence whatsoever. You see something, because I saw that video of the guy talking about TPUSA's finances. And I just said, I don't get it. I don't think I understand it. I wasn't committed to it. If her sister is an accountant, why didn't she call her sister and just bounce it past her? Why did she assume that what she saw was legitimate? Y'all have seen lawyers on here. I think I know something, and I'm a pre-K law student, which basically means I know nothing, but I bounce ideas past lawyers all the time. I don't get out here and just assume that I know something. Hence why I tell you I'm a pre-K law student. That means I don't know anything. I'm aware of my skill set. I know where my skills are, where they're failing. I know where they're strong. You can't see that's what she gets. I'm believing a lawsuit's coming, in my opinion. Let's go.
The IRS website and see whether or not that filing came through, since the whole world wants to see it.
No, we don't.
Anyways, back to our Zionist friends. Israeli and American Zionists are deeply bothered about the Egyptian plane. They're not concerned in the way that you think they would be. You would think that they would be.
This is another really bad take. She assumes that, yeah, right here it is, right here. Nobody's upset about it. Nobody actually is concerned about it. The problem is, man, we're like, this is dumb. That doesn't mean I'm concerned. I'm not upset, not panicking, not wringing my hands. I'm like, man, your claims are silly. So now, because people are making fun of her and the license plates, she's going to say, oh, they must be upset about something. Man, we're not upset about it. We're just looking at the fact that you're doxing somebody who's a rental car company. And by the way, I still don't know how you know that this is a rental car. I want to know that. What did you FOIA to get the license plate numbers of those cars? So that's what the candies need to be asking. How do I know what car you rented? That's crazy work. Because don't I need to know who you are first in order to know that you rented a car? So I can't just say that, for example, Relax right here, Relax Jacks rented a car. Well, somebody's going to say, well, who's Relax Jacks? Well, you know, Relax Jacks 310. Who's that? It's Relax Jacks. Relax Jacks rented a Jaguar yesterday. Here's the license plate number. Why are you so upset that you're asking about the license plate number? It's because you're dumb, Jason. We don't know who Relax Jacks is. We don't know who Relax Jacks is. And don't tell us who you are, Relax Jacks. Don't tell us, as long as you're not a spy. Okay? I think you get my point. Candace is, Lord, please let her get sued. Because I need to see that. I will go to Tennessee or wherever to watch Candace in court one day. I promise you.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Candace. We love Charlie so much. We're very concerned to learn that these Egyptian military planes were tracking Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk for years. What can we do to help? Gosh, we're right next door to them. We did a lot to Egypt. We actually control a lot and we surveil a lot in that state. Let us help you.
This woman said planes are tracking Charlie Kirk. She said that with no comedy, no irony whatsoever, as if that sentence was the most profound sentence in the world. There are planes tracking you. Listen to what you said, Candace. Listen. Hold on. I got to check my bingo board real quick. Let's see. Oh, we got patchwork theories. Come on. Yeah, I gotta take patchwork theories. I'm taking patchwork for sure. Claims with no receipts. Like, how do I know that these cars were rented by Egyptians? You don't even know who was on the planes. So you don't know who it is. So no, that's a plane without receipt. Let's see. Man, she got a hunch. I'm just gonna go hunch crazy. She still hasn't said military yet, which is crazy. All right, get back over here, Jason. We did not come to see you crack jokes. But I did warn y'all that this was going to be the most unserious show I could probably muster without going in character, because this is just unserious. All right, let us go. Let's go.
You. Rather, their concern is that we revealed the rental license plates. These are real tweets from some Zionists. We've got Eyal Yacobi, who writes, "This is what doxing looks like. These are unparalleled levels of insanity. This is truly dangerous."
Oh. Where's the lie? I'm looking for the lie. Can you point out the lie?
Oh, it's dangerous. So basically what doxing is, if you're not familiar with that term, is it's when you put private information up about an individual that can become identifiable. So like if I published your private address and then somebody could go to your home and harm you. That's what they're accusing me of. Erin Wexler. Now, this is the girl that was at the now infamous Hamptons retreat. She wrote this, back that up. Candace started her career by doxing teenagers. Old habits die hard. That is just so weird. I just thought the Hamptons people would be.
It's funny. She doesn't address what's actually said. And we've brought this up before. She doesn't address what Aaron actually said. She's going to go talking about the Hamptons. Nobody's talking about the Hamptons. We're talking about you posting those license plate numbers. What was the purpose of giving the license plate numbers if you don't want somebody to do something with that information? Why not redact it and say we have the license plates? Because you do realize she's never told you how she got the license plates. How do you know who rented the planes? Rented the cars. Because if you can get that, then that means you know the person's name, their identification, probably their last four of their social, or at least their credit card number. How did you get that? See, y'all are crazy. Y'all, if you are Candy, come on up here to the front of the church. We're going to have an exorcism at the end.
On this Egyptian thing, trying to help as best they could, but they're actually more concerned for these Egyptians who were renting a car, and therefore, since they don't even go here, like, why would this be identifying information? Are you concerned for, like, Hertz? Rent a car? What are you concerned about here? We're not clear. Now, going back to what we've learned about this flight thus far, I want to remind you that we have confirmed that this was a full flight over to Utah. This Egyptian flight, and I'm referring to BTT, SU-BTT, landed into Utah 6 days before Charlie Kirk's assassination. So we are looking at anywhere between 12 to 14 quote unquote Egyptians that were on this flight and deplaned on September 4th. Okay. A high government source actually reached out and made me aware, and this is stunning, actually, that we missed this common sense. I should have figured this out all by myself, but there is such a thing as federal protocol. They told me, this person in the State Department confirmed that a foreign military jet actually can't just land on American soil without the federal government paying attention. It actually requires a federal escort. Okay? Again, common sense. I don't know how we didn't think of this ourselves. Of course, if you're a military jet.
She is just going to keep reaching. Y'all, please, if you think this is journalism, please, I'm going to send you my Cash App so you can buy this bridge in New York. We got military has entered the chat. She's got messages. Yep. Yeah, I like that. Okay, yeah, we're going to go with that. So I already got bingo. We already got bingo, and we're 6 minutes in. Shout out for sure. Y'all, this is just comedy at this point. We are not taking this serious. I like this. This is madness. This is Delulu Go Pro Max. This is crazy work right here. This is crazy work. Ma'am, again, look, if you do not support Candace Owens, you are not required to follow the next set of rules, like instructions I give. If you are a Candy, how in the world does she know who rented these vehicles? How does she know? What proof has she shown you that this plane was carrying 18 people? What proof has she shown you? That's it. I'm not required to believe this, and I don't. She's not giving me any reason to believe. I do believe that she has a blue cup on her desk. I can see it. What is your proof that any of this happened? What stops her from making this up? I'll wait. Please don't tell me her journalistic integrity. Please don't tell me her high desire for fidelity of truth. Don't tell me that. There's nothing that would stop her from just making this up. None whatsoever. So why am I getting paid $7,000 when she hasn't proven that anything she's saying is true? I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking. Just asking. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to the best live chat on the internet. Woo, let's go.
Jet. You can't just fly into foreign land and hop off the jet and be like, okay, bye. Just going to do whatever I want. Of course, they're going to go, hi, are we starting a war here? What's going on? So this person tells me that, of course, that cannot happen. The government is immediately aware that this military-equipped plane is coming in, and an escort is provided because they want to know where they are
Wait,
going. What
hold
they
on,
are
wait.
doing.
I don't mean
So
to keep
there's
stopping. She just said military-equipped plane. What in the Lord's name is that? Because that jet that we were talking about was a private jet. That did not have any, there was not anything special. It was a private jet. Well, I guess a private jet is kind of special. We don't have a private jet at Whitaker Park. But you get my point. What is a military? What was that? She slipped that in. So now we're thinking that this is a fighter jet about to come and do damage. Ma'am, what are you talking about? And she's still trying to convince us that Egypt had something to do with Charlie Kirk's unaliving. Y'all, it does sound like I'm standing down in 5 Point Station in Atlanta talking to the crack addict over there by Papados. And that's what it sounds like to me. Let's get this going. Let's go. A jet equipped was, but why would it be she just said it was a private jet. It's a private jet. So they're military people on a private jet? Okay, y'all got to show me the proof, show me the evidence, dearwokesy@gmail.com. I will come on tonight and apologize. Send me the evidence that she has shown that this was some kind of military. Because again, she's just spinning cloth. I could tell you an entire story just the same. No evidence, no proof. Make it so, Jason.
Now is, and maybe Kash Patel can help us answer this. Just kidding. We know he won't. Who were the federal agents that escorted these Egyptians off the plane? Okay. Because they didn't just disappear into the ether. You guys knew they were coming in and you watched them and you knew what they were doing in Provo. And by the way, while we're checking in on these unanswered questions, has Turning Point mustered the courage to answer my yes or no, circle yes or circle no, as to whether or not these Egyptian jets were known to Charlie? Because like I said yesterday, it is highly plausible, highly likely that they were. He had a photographic memory and he loved planes. He loved learning about military planes. He would have recognized that was circling around him a few times while he was on the road and circling around Erica. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to make it very clear. Yes, this is a conspiracy. It is a federal level conspiracy. It is.
So, okay, let me tell you what we're doing. Okay. Just so you can know what's the bit. My children call it a bit, which is basically when you're acting out something or you're telling a joke or you're trying to surprise your spouse. It's all called a bit. So what is the bit that we're watching? Candace is not getting any information. She's making this up. Dare I say, she's just outright lying. But she's trying to get her people ginned up to believe that if she says it, it's got to be true. She has to have evidence to that fact. And therefore, Kash Patel or Trump or TPUSA, y'all are bad because you're not answering her, even though they don't realize she's made this up. It's never a matter of I make a claim, you prove my claim is wrong. It's I show evidence. And I've said this multiple times. That's why the Bible says we don't take the word of just one witness. Because she would be the one witness. There's no other facts, no other proof, nobody corroborating it. She got people, she doxing folk left, right, and center. All right, let's go. I just want to make sure we understand the bit. The bit is she's just making this up. She needs somebody to answer her so she can reply back to that. Right? She doesn't have anything. It's kind of like that book, Stone Soup, that you read as a child, as a classic. They don't have anything. So therefore, the only way I'm going to have anything is by you bringing something to the pot. That's it. Let's go.
Likely an international conspiracy.
Oh, there you go.
Multiple countries seem to be involved. And I really hate to upset the Zionist crowd any further because I know I'm like your fave. But we now have identified a fifth verified rental plate that we can now add to the Egyptian mix. So that's a total of 5 rental cars that were rented by Duncan Aviation that we can review. Also want to thank the many of you who emailed us yesterday and informed me that I apparently do not know the difference between the letter N and the number 9. I think I just was saying 9 or N every time I was reading these plates, which means I'm probably not qualified to be homeschooling my toddlers. Anyways, I was mixing that up. I'm not going to mix it up now. These are our 5 plates as follows. A white 2025 Toyota Camry.
What's the purpose of giving this information? What's the purpose? The car could already have been sold. It could have been in an accident. It could be in Connecticut. It could be as far away as Alaska right now. What's the purpose of giving this information? Like, why are you giving the license plate number? Specifically, the license plate number. And she knows she's wrong. Why is she doing this?
Vehicle that we have here is a white 2000.
What's the purpose of this? What is the purpose of giving out these true identifiers? Y'all, I'm trying to figure out how the police are not involved in this. Because again, you're putting somebody in danger, in harm's way. Somebody's driving this car right now. Somebody's driving this RAV4. That's a nice look. That's a slick looking Highlander. I ain't gonna even lie. Or is that a Pathfinder? That's slick. Pathfinder is Toyota 4Runner. This is a 4Runner. That's slick. I ain't gonna lie. That murdered out one, your boy might be driving that one. That one isn't bad either. If it was black on black, your boy might be talking about it because you know your boy ain't got no car. But what's the purpose of this?
Toyota 4Runner, Utah, license plate number Z34.
What's the purpose of giving out she's doing it intentionally?
5 vehicles, which were secured by Duncan Aviation. Now, since I wasn't born yesterday, I feel pretty confident concluding that these 12 to 14 Egyptians didn't drop into Provo, Utah in the 6 days leading up to Charlie Kirk's assassination to fix like a broken light on the plane. Okay. Again, my source there is me not being born yesterday. It's just not how it works. You cannot just get something very.
Hold up. Did she just say my source is me? Hold on. Let me back that up. Listen to what she said. Because I truly don't believe she has any sources. Listen to what she says about my source. And hold on, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna dole out some bingo words after this.
Since I wasn't born yesterday, I feel pretty confident concluding that these 12 to 14 Egyptians didn't drop into Provo, Utah in the 6 days leading up to Charlie Kirk's assassination to fix like a broken light on the plane. Okay. Again, my source there is me not being born yesterday.
Me not being born yesterday. That's her source, y'all. I'm telling you, she's making this up. All right, y'all, by the way, you know what? I have proof, but I'm going to give you that one. And I'm also going to give you, I know Israel is about to come in. I know that's coming. You know what? I'm going to go with leaks. All right. So if you need it, I have proof, but you got it. And leaks. This is some crazy work, y'all. I mean, how is this not akin to just being disruptive online, giving out? I'm just trying to figure out how she's not being called on by the terms of service of YouTube. Like, this is craziness. We can't do this. I couldn't give out information like this. How was she able to do that? Like, that's some crazy work, y'all. All right, let's go. All right. I promise we're going to go.
It's just not how it works. You cannot just get something very quickly fixed in a couple of days and be on your way. And like I said, they weren't even on the plane on the way out. They waited for that anchor plane, SUBND, the other Egyptian military plane, to take them back home. So what are we looking at here? What exactly were these Egyptians with the federal escorts doing on the day of Charlie Kirk's assassination? Well,
does she know that there was a federal escort? Because then that would mean, like, think about what she's saying. She's already saying that the planes are following Charlie and Erica around the country. That means that there would be military planes following around Charlie and Erica around the country. There would be at least 2 other planes. Y'all quit playing with this woman. This woman is insane. I'm not saying that hyperbole. Y'all, come on now. And how do you know any of this? Y'all, come on. I'm trying to figure out how YouTube would strike me if I say certain words that Candace has said. If I were doing this right here, my channel would be cut off. But Candace is literally doing this. And the most dangerous person was Charlie? Okay, gotcha. That's crazy work, y'all. I don't even think I'm gonna be able to make this, y'all. I'm trying not to rage quit this video because I know she's gonna talk about Rob McCoy, but this is gross.
In terms of some potentially interesting leads, many of you guys actually noted to us that the cars that were in the driveway in the now infamous footage of the alleged shooter, right, which was somehow distributed by TMZ, we don't know how that happened, should probably be investigated further because that's a lot of cars in the driveway. And obviously, every image that we have is blurred. Okay, it seems like we just can't get a clear image at all in this story. And so we cannot, it's impossible to discern anything. But it's therefore possible that some of those cars that we are looking at could be the rented vehicles, right? Maybe the one parked on the right. There is the Toyota RAV4.
That's a Jeep. That's a Jeep. Wow. She is trying her best to get this. Yo. Just let it go, man. Y'all, this is gross.
Maybe the two that look similar, one that's dark, one that's lighter. Could that be the gray and the black 4Runner?
That white one is a Honda CRV. I know that white one's a white Honda CRV. I used to own one of those. I mean, I don't know about that black one. I don't know about that black car. I don't know about that car over there by the bush. But that white one right there, my niece owns a Jeep. She owns that Jeep right there. It's blue. And I've had a CRV, a Honda CRV, like that one in the middle. But why are we even talking about this? That's the thing. Like you're literally, you have nothing, so you're putting people's lives in danger.
Would be something that perhaps Joe, Kent, and Tulsi Gabbard, who are warring, or at least that's what the press said, warring with the FBI or warring with Kash Patel, could look into. Because this is Egyptian, okay? This is Egyptian. And I also want to add here something that I have always suspected that makes perfect sense to me, which would be the reason that UVU has denied every request, not just to release footage of the day of the assassination, but also to release footage of the days leading up to the assassination. Why? I think it's because the footage that we have seen, right, was recorded before September 10th. I always felt that in my gut. I always felt it was a distraction. The person in the staircase, walking across the street in two different outfits. I just felt that some of this footage was recorded in the days leading up, okay? And now that we know that those Egyptian planes came in 6 days before, 6 days before Charlie's assassination, it's possible that they could have staged some of that, which they eventually edited maybe a bit and released it to TMZ in that time frame. What we do know factually, and we don't have to surmise, is that there were eyewitness accounts you may have lost.
She just admitted she doesn't know it. She just said, I'm making this up. Like, this is, okay, all right, whatever, man. If you're a Candy, shout out to y'all. I mean, if you want to say that we're just doing the most, but this is crazy work, y'all. I mean, your grandmother rented that RAV4 to go visit you all for Thanksgiving, and now some lunatic is following y'all around thinking she's an Egyptian. Why? But what's the purpose? Even if she just said, hey, we know that this is a RAV4, but don't give out the information. We know this is a Highlander, but we don't give out the license plate number. She gave out the license plate number on purpose. That is insane.
Obviously, a lot of stuff came out immediately. But what got lost in the fold was that there were eyewitness accounts of people having seen someone on that roof in the week before the shooting. This got buried in the press. Students and allegedly a professor who reported seeing someone on the roof a week earlier. And I think we should try to track down these students of course, CNN, which ran this article, which I can show you here, didn't include their names, but here is the article. You can see it was published the day after the assassination, and it reads, Utah Valley University student recalls seeing man walking on or near the Lozzie Center roof twice in 2 weeks. And from that article, it says, the student says that he last saw the person on the roof last Wednesday at noon, a week before the shooting. He told CNN that he reported his observations to the FBI tip line after the shooting, but he has not heard back. The student.
So, if this is just a modern day National Enquirer, that's all this is, man. We every day, 5 o'clock ish, we in the best live chat on the internet, we all get in go to our little grocery store, and we get in the line, and we see those magazines right there before you get to the cash register. And that's all this is. Candace's show is now just complete gossip. Next thing you know, she's going to bring up Nostradamus and Bat Boy. That's about what I'm expecting at this point. Yes, remember, look, you just said it, Bat Boy. This is insane. So you mean to tell me, because I already could think of 3 reasons why the school would not report back or the FBI would not report back if they already found out about who was on the roof. You do realize that they don't have to report back to the witness sources. They don't have to. The witness gave the information. They went and did something with the information, and that was it. They don't double back and tell the witness or the person that gave the information.
Described the man as tall, skinny-ish white dude with dark hair. He had a backpack on and was wearing dark clothes. He added that the man was looking down at the courtyard area where Kirk's speaking engagement was later. Okay, now here's what I did. I dug through all of our emails once I realized this and went, okay, maybe there's something here. We should probably look a little further into this. Let's leave no stone unturned. And I found actually that one of you guys had sent me a tip a while ago about this, and you had captured that recording. And I'm going to let you listen to this person's testimony. This is, by the way, taken on September 11th. So this is a day after the shooting. We didn't have much details a day after the shooting. And this individual is a student that is being interviewed by another student about what he observed in the aftermath. So I think it's about a 3-minute recording. Let's listen to this observation because it could be important.
Do you think it was last Tuesday or last Wednesday? And recount the first time meeting him and recount the second time meeting him, what you remember. Do you remember like what time of day it was?
Mid-afternoon, yeah, I guess I don't remember the exact day. I know at least the second time was last week, either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah. So last Tuesday and Wednesday, but they were on separate days.
They were separate days.
Okay.
It may have been both last week, Tuesday and Wednesday. One of them might have been like the week before Thursday or something. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't memorable or significant enough at the moment for me to really remember.
What did he look like?
Skinny, tallish white guy. Had a like baseball cap on or some kind of hat, I think.
I honestly cannot take. I'm trying to figure out how Candace took this as serious. Somebody sent you this audio file. Well, just leave it alone, Jason. Just stop. I mean,
had a backpack. Dark hair, I think.
Dark hair. Was he dressed in like dark clothing? Do you remember?
Yeah, he was.
He was. Okay. Was it like black or
something dark?
Was it similar to what was seen in the pictures?
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of why I thought of that when I saw the pictures. Okay. I guess I don't think I'd remember enough to really definitively say that the guy I saw is the guy in the pictures.
Right.
I just know I saw a guy wandering around on the roof, and the guy that I saw in the pictures looks similar.
But it was the same roof of the same building.
Yes. Well, I don't know exactly because it's the computer science building has this long concourse that connects to the Lozzie Center.
Yeah.
My bet would be that that's how the shooter got onto the Lozzie.
I'm done. I'm done, y'all. Okay. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, y'all. I honestly cannot take this is ridiculous. How an audio file, like we could record an audio file right now and send it to her and see if she plays it. This is not admissible in court. Yeah, this is. Hold on. You know what? I got it. Somebody said we got to clean the palate. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is okay. We're gonna clean the palate. I gotta go. We got to do something different, y'all. I'm sorry. We'll be back. I promise.
And so
Let's clean the
comes no
palate.
surprise, and something we all understand as Americans, as Christians, that calling people Nazis puts a target on their back. It's a very dangerous thing to do. It's a very appalling thing to do. To call someone a Nazi means you have to shoot them. You have to kill them. And killing people is wrong. It's always wrong. And I really believe that. I really do. I think anyone should believe that. Certainly Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro don't believe that. That's disgusting. But I think it needs to be said. It can't be said enough, actually, and stressed enough that when you label someone a Nazi, you are endorsing violence against them. Just a few years ago, the Museum of Tolerance, the Holocaust Museum in Los Angeles, released a list of their top Nazis, who they considered Nazis. These were just some of the people they named. It's quite disgusting, actually. It's really disgusting. It's no surprise that the Holocaust Museum in Israel, which I have no problem with at all, I have no issue with. I've been to Israel many times. I visited this country, but it's irrelevant to me. But Yad Vashem also had a very similar list of these names of people who they considered to be Nazis. Okay. Those names, those people, actual human beings, actually, were Adolf Hitler, Heinrich Himmler, Joseph Goebbels, and Adolf Eichmann. It should come as no surprise that all those people are currently dead. Because when you call people Nazis, they die. That's what they do. That's what happens. And we need to be more responsible with our speech. We need to be more Christian with our speech. Labeling people Nazis, calling them Nazis, that is genocide. I mean, it is. It is actually right. There's no other way to say. There's no other way to say it. There's no other way to discuss it. There's no other way to talk about it. There's no other way to have these conversations. If you call people Nazis, you are putting a target on their back, and it should come as no surprise that everyone I just mentioned, is dead, and they died at the time when they were labeled Nazis. And that should just prove to you. That should just prove and demonstrate that we're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to play that game. It's a lesson we learn from history, and we don't want to repeat it. We shouldn't repeat it. We should learn from history. We should learn from our mistakes. I mean, I've called people Nazis in the past. I do it all the time, but I hate it. And I might do it in this broadcast. I might do it right now. Look at my producer. You're a Nazi. Just kidding. Not kidding. Kidding. We shouldn't do it because it's a threat, and it's violent to do so. Calling people Nazis, labeling them, listing them in museums for everyone to see. I mean, that's violent. It's disgusting. We're better than that. You're better than that. We're all better than that. Tomorrow, we're going to be discussing Oskar Schindler, who was a liar, and more on Adolf Hitler, who was a painter. We're going to talk about that. This Christmas, give the gift of 8 sleep. You need your rest. You need to sleep, and make sure when you're sleeping, you're not molested by a demon, because that can happen.
Center roof, because that's one of the few ways I know of. I guess there's also
we gotta get done with this.
As in that's how he got on yesterday or last week?
Oh, well, last time I saw it and he came off of there.
Okay, and you said he like jumped over the fence?
Yeah, there's kind of a railing around. There's this like concourse sticking out from the CS building that people are actually supposed to be allowed to walk on.
Okay.
And he walked over that railing and started wandering around the ledge.
Oh, okay. And facing which way?
He was totally looking out in the direction of like
Totally.
the courtyard and out this way. The first time I thought it was a little weird, but didn't think much of it. Decided not to say anything, especially because another guy walked back. I think he was a professor. I know I've seen him around a lot more. And he comes from below and he shouts up at the guy. He asks like, "Are you okay?" The guy up there says, yeah, I'm doing fine, and Russell says, okay, and walks away, and I kept walking because I had work to do. I didn't really...
And that was the first or second time?
That was the first time.
And then what about the second time?
The second time, I saw him do the same thing. He hopped the railing, started wandering around.
Was he dressed in the same clothing?
Similar.
Okay.
I don't remember enough to say whether it was
And it was the same guy?
It was definitely the same guy those 2 times.
Okay, so we were able to figure out who this student was. I don't know why CNN declined to publish his name, but I was able to figure out who the student was, and I'm going to chase down this lead, and I want to open up that possibility because it is a possibility that the stairwell photo and the footage that we have seen of the shooter was actually recorded before the assassination. Of course, that's a possibility in the absence of quite literally anything verifiable that the feds have given us. Everything is therefore a possibility. So I want to also open this up because I don't want to just hear it from one student or CNN. I want to hear it from more students, right? That would be something that you would remember. We keep talking about what happened on 9/10. What about in the days leading up to 9/10? What about 9/6, right? 9/7, 9/8, 9/9. If you are a student and you saw someone up on the rooftop in the days or in the week leading up to the assassination, we want to hear from you. More tips at CandaceOwens.com, because every time I have tried to chase down the leads regarding the rooftop, I am brought to a military person, and I just don't know that any of that actually took place on the day. And I think that's why they won't release any more footage. There should be multiple angles, right? If this all happened on 9/10, there would have been multiple angles, and they sure as hell would have released it in the middle of a manhunt. When you thought that he could kill other people, you would have released more footage. And they're not doing that, which means they're hiding something. And the something that they could be hiding could be nothing. It could be nothing that happened on that rooftop. Also, want to add on here that regarding the white RAV4, we got a lot of emails from the public that have noted that there appears to be what might be a RAV4 in every available footage that we have been provided by of the shooter. So we've only seen 4 pieces of footage of the alleged shooter.
What are we doing, people? What are we doing to ourselves? There's a RAV4 in the picture. There's a RAV4. There's a Tesla dealer and a showroom near my house. And I'm pleasantly surprised how many Teslas I see on a daily basis. I could go out of my house right now, and before I get to the grocery store, I promise you I'll see 7. There's a lot of Teslas in this area. What in the world? Never mind. This is, again, y'all are welcome, Candies. You're welcome to believe this woman, but why? Why do you believe this woman? I would love to know why. What is your belief? Why do you believe her? I mean, she's literally giving stuff that she gets in an email from somebody. No way to vet it. No way to test that it's right. Just throws it out there. We have no idea about those license plate numbers. We have no idea how she knows how many people are on the plane. She's just saying, trust me, bro. Just get done, Jason. This is crazy.
One, of course, of him walking in front of
I don't think those are RAV4s.
The house that Phil Lyman was at. Yes, that's what we just discussed. That sure as heck could be a white RAV4. The second piece of footage being the TMZ released footage of somebody else in the neighborhood of him walking. Yep, that sure as heck could also be a RAV4. Footage number 3 is footage of the alleged shooter pulling out in the parking lot, which was provided by Ryan Matta.
No, they're just saying all white. Okay, basically, her audience is a bunch of car racists. They're saying all white SUVs are the same. You might as well say this black car is a RAV4. I mean, all white cars look alike. That's what they're saying. That's what she's basically saying. They're car racists, y'all. Her audience is a bunch of car racists. They are saying all white cars look alike. I don't know. This is craziness. All white cars look alike. Y'all type all white cars look alike. There you go. RAV4s are Zionists, man. Zionists for RAV4s. I'm surprised Japan has not gotten into the mix. I mean, come on. At this point in the game, we might as well just go ahead and just unleash in the chat what type of car do you have and just add Zionist to the end of it. I mean, at this point, this is ridiculous, man. I want to say another R word for this, but I'm trying not to be insensitive because I really think this is offensive to Candace. Like, I'm a Mazda Zionist. I am definitely a Mazda Zionist. What are we dealing with here? This is craziness, y'all. This is insanity. Really? You boycotting Toyotas? I don't got a problem with them. I really don't. F-150s, come on now. Hyundai Zionists, come on. Chevy, come on. Uh-oh. G6 GT Zionist. That sounds fast, man. I don't even know what that is. That does sound like a fast car. And you know what? You know what else moves fast? Planes. You know what else moves fast? Egyptian planes. I think you are, and I've never seen anybody spell their name like that. The only people that spell their name like that are Egyptians. Where were you on 910, 99, 94, 102 in Park? Where were you? Y'all, when I say Candace Owens is a IQ test, I mean that with my full, he is on, he an E-class Zionist. Fancy Zionist. There we go. Black Mustang. Why'd you have to add the color to it? Huh? Is it because you're a car racist? And racist because you be driving that Mustang fast, just like the planes. There you go. Ford Raptor Zionist. This is just dumb. Y'all, I'm sorry. I am not going to sit here all night and act ridiculous. How is this? How do they take her seriously, man? The fact that people take Candace seriously is going to be studied by science. Okay, we got to go. Oh, that's so ridiculous. Hold on. An Escalade Zionist. Uh-oh. Y'all is fancy up in here. Okay, look, look. It says I don't have a car. I guess I'm like Patton Turner, technically. Technically. Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous.
That he chased down. Yep, that also could be a RAV4. And also, of course, the footage where he allegedly jumps off the rooftop. Many of you said it looked like there was a RAV4 pulling up. Look, yes, all of it's possible. Is it also possible that this is just a coincidence? Yes. It could be a coincidence. It also could be a conspiracy. We have to explore every lead because the feds are not. They are implicated in this cover-up. And this is how investigations work. You chase down theories, you posit theories, you chase down those theories, and you are open to being proven wrong. So that's what we have for you guys. Also, going to have a major scoop tomorrow about what's happening on the inside of Turning Point USA. I just want to triple, quadruple confirm, but we need to focus our attention on each and every plane that arrived in the aftermath of Charlie being shot. Planes that took off and arrived. I brought up one plane to you. We were able to determine that plane that departed Scottsdale at 8 local time and landed at about 10 a.m. local time into Provo was owned by a Turning Point USA donor, T.W. Lewis. Actually, Turning Point USA is featured on T.W. Lewis's foundation website as someone that they fund. I'd like to know who was on that plane. That's interesting to me. If you know who was on that plane and you are a Turning Point insider, or maybe you were working in Scottsdale on that day at a terminal, we're looking for a plane, again, that took off at about 8 a.m. I want to know who's on that plane. That is of interest to me because it wasn't Charlie, and they got into Provo just ahead of the assassination, and it has to be somebody big. I don't think the students are flying around on private planes. It'd be great if that foundation, T.W. Lewis Foundation, could help us out. I don't think they will. For some reason, we keep coming up against the wall from Charlie's friends, but we want to hear from you. More tips at CandaceOwens.com. Okay, we're going to be right back because the Turning Point is dropping receipts a little bit. We're going to talk about Blake Neff, who dropped a receipt, Brian Harpole, the security who dropped a receipt. right after a few of our sponsors. Many people have been vilified for standing up for truth, and many people have felt the sting of injustice.
I can't even. I honestly cannot even take this. Wow. Wow. Y'all, shout out to the best live chat on the internet. Thank you so very much. Real quick, this is crazy work. Thank you so much. GS70 says this: with the $10 super, Charlie don't have to debate Nick because you can win the young Americans versus Nick. But now Nick is popular among the youth. It's why he's exposing Nick by platforming him is good. But the problem is Nick wasn't exposed when he was on Tucker's platform. He was given pure reign. Talked about how much he loves Stalin, baking cookies, all that kind of stuff like that. There was no challenge. Now, if Tucker had challenged him, I don't think I would have a problem with it. But he didn't. So that's my only pushback. Thank you so much, GS. And then comes back here. Egyptian Air Force has no interest with Charlie. LOL. That little bit seems to be lost on Candace. Like she just totally misses that. Goes right over her head. Like I don't realize that, you know what? They might. Why would Egypt want to do that? Like that doesn't even make sense. Thank you so very much, Created by Divine, for the 10. Says this: why does she get a new epiphany every single day? Child, let me tell you something. If that's it. That's all this is. It's just another bit. She's already thrown it out. Hey, I'm gonna have big news tomorrow. And I guarantee you tomorrow it'll be another, but wait, there's more. Stay tuned for the next episode of As the Candace Rots, or whatever, as the wheel spins. Thank you, Captain Jack. Says this with the 5. The FBI and law enforcement will not release details of their case. All will be revealed during the trial. There's no reason to. Now, can they give more details? Sure. There's some details that I think they could probably give, but really they don't have to. And I think most people are fine with that. And I don't understand why that's lost in the bid. Thank you so very much for the 5. And then coming around, SW7210 with the $10 super. No question, no comment, just pure love of the game. Thank you so much for supporting what we're doing over here. And then let's go. Jaylyn ends this. She just said that she does not believe Christ saves. I don't think she does at all. Prove me wrong, y'all. Prove me wrong that Candace actually believes that Jesus saves. She doesn't. Her ad break was very short for some reason. She's back already. Let's go ahead and get done, y'all. We got to get done.
Dropping some receipts. Kind of, not really, but it's more than we've received thus far, which is nothing. So it's something, and it's not at all what we were asking for. But again, I want to be optimistic, so at least it's something. First up, many of you guys pinged me regarding Brian Harpole, an interview that he did with Sean Ryan. Now, Brian Harpole is one of Charlie Kirk's long-term security members, team members. And on the day of the assassination, you'll recognize he's the guy that had the black strap. I don't know if we have a photo. He had a bag across him, and he was standing to the front right of Charlie, kind of looking out at the audience. You're going to see him in a second. He is the one who then runs over to Charlie. And again, you recognize him because he kind of has that small, supposed to be a medical bag over him. Now, I have not watched this interview in its entirety, but from what I have seen thus far, it is just not that convincing. For one, Brian offers up that the lack of security on the rooftop can actually be attributed to the UVU police chief, Jeff Long. Here is what he had to say.
On Monday before, this correspondence went to Chief Long. Hello, Chief Long. We received this message today from the student group. There is a student roof access pretty close to where CK will be set up at the Utah Valley. The Sorensen Center has a couple of staircases that go up to walkways on the roofs. He comes back, and for edification, the Sorensen Center was the building in front of the Lucy Center. And so he comes back and he says, you want access to the roof. And came back and said, I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well, if possible. he comes back, and his last correspondence was, "I got you covered." What else am I to do? When a command level person from an accredited police department says, "I've got this area." Jeez.
Please pick me. Okay. You know when you're like in school and you got to hold your hand up because you really want a teacher to.
So one of the things that Candace has to do is she has to be very condescending. So instead of just address, because I guarantee you she's not going to address the fact that the man has a conversation with the person. She's going to condescend him and say, and try to sun him and say, well, you didn't do the right thing. You didn't do what you're supposed to be doing, even though the man just explained that. But I do think it's adorable. Later on, that man says, why don't y'all FOIA the police chief and ask him why he didn't do X, Y, Z, and ABC. I guarantee you she's not going to call that out. But watch what she does, because this is part of her. She's very disrespectful, extremely condescending, and just instead of just saying, hey, I disagree with him, or asking a question, not being childish, like raising your hand and acting silly. Okay, I've done it too, so let's just be honest. But no, this is just being condescending and degrading. Let's go.
See you. I have an answer for what else you could have done. You could have followed up because it's your job and Charlie paid you millions of dollars not to pass the buck. No.
See how she's even saying it? Millions of dollars. Because again, it's meant to be condescending. It's not meant to actually be truthful or anything of that nature. It's meant to be condescending. Okay, go.
Also, you asked the police chief an either or question. And I'm just kind of like trying to understand the basic construct of sentences. He said, got you covered. What does that mean? It was an either or question. Either provide us access or get somebody up there. Got you covered means what? No follow-up? That's it? Millions and millions of dollars on his security annually. And you just said, hey, a student told us that there's a rooftop and it would be good if we could have access to it, or if one of your guys could secure it. Got you covered. That's it. That's what Charlie was paying for? That's obviously absurd. That is not an answer that should be accepted by anyone. I am not.
And remember, and somebody pointed it out, Utah has laws. He talked later on, if you watch that interview, it was a good interview between Sean Ryan and Brian Harpole. He talks about the fact that we can't just put somebody on the roof. There's laws in place. We couldn't just run drones and so on and so forth. So she found the best thing that she could argue against, which I think is probably the bad look for her, because you saw also in that text message that there were dates. So that would actually go back and cause people to wonder about your own text messages that you've shown, Candace, that lack dates and timestamps. I'm just saying.
Not blown away by that. I'm not going, oh, this is UVU's fault. Okay. By the way, Jeff Long also has a very extensive military career. I obviously have been very clear that I believe that this was a military level assassination. Everyone on the ground that day, every witness for some reason, this is not a military academy, but everybody that we can speak to that's somehow involved has an extensive military background. I'm not interested in Jeff Long's participation in this, but Brian Harpole sort of laments the fact that he won't speak up and people are losing their jobs. On the basis of that answer, you should all be fired. Just on the basis of that answer, you didn't have it within you to go, let me follow up and make sure that's been secured because that's my job. Let me walk the path and see. The fact that a student told you and you didn't know that, shouldn't you have told the student? You shouldn't you have said to the student, hey, we're looking at a map because it's amazing. It's 2025 and there's this thing called Google Maps. So we're actually looking at a map and we see where Charlie's going to sit and we're wondering about this roof. Could you let us know how we're supposed to access that? Why is the student and the chief leading the charge and not you when you are paid for executive level security? It is an unacceptable answer. Look, I've worked with Brian, nice guy. That's a ridiculous answer. He should be fired. And I'm going to guess he's not going to be, but he should be fired, of course.
So one of the things I've mentioned, and I don't want to let the cat out the bag, but I really want, if you believe that Candace Owens really cares about the longevity of TPUSA, if you believe that she's doing this because she wants the best for TPUSA and Charlie Kirk's legacy, I'm going to ask you to hold on. Just hold that. Take that thought, put a pin in it, sit it on your desk or whatever, and just wait, because we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And let's keep it going. Let's go.
He should be fired. Elsewhere in the interview, he responds to the question of why they didn't at least have drone coverage on that day, since they have flown drones, many drones, at TPUSA events in the past. Here's his answer to that.
In your coordination with UVU, I mean, did they offer any assistance, anything at all?
Yeah.
Did you ask them of anything?
Absolutely. So we come in and we start looking at things immediately, like, man, where are our risks? You know, what's our risk assessment when we come in? That's why we get there. That's why we start doing the advance so early. We walk it, you know, we build it ourselves. And so initially, I spent thousands of dollars on drones last year and got the guy's license. But if the area lies in the Provo, Utah airspace, I can't fly it. That's a 107B. We can't break the rules. Right? And then you had secondary restrictions, probably due to heavy foot traffic for the school. But I can't go in and break the rules. There's laws for a reason. And so now the school could have flown drones, the PD, but they didn't have them, right? But Orem PD has a drone unit, active and professional, and that police department, I will tell you right now, is awesome. They get it. They were there. They helped both on the soft side and the hard side. And so I started asking questions like, "You guys have a drone unit?" Yeah. Good. Do you have an MOU or a mutual aid agreement with the school? And they're like, yeah. I said, did they call you and ask for assistance? No. I'm like, why wouldn't you call?
Wait. Before she gets in here condescending, because I respect Brian Harpole. I think he did as good a job as he could do, considering all of the complexities involved. There are some questions I had and some things I didn't like as well, but I'm okay with, I'm about 92% perfectly fine with him. I would sit down with Brian Harpole and have a drink and some wings for sure. But the problem, what I don't like is the way Sean Ryan asked the questions, because there's actually two places where they talk about the drones. In the first place, they really hone in on, nobody helped them out. But later on, they talk about the law regarding that. And he talks about the fact that you got to respect the law because you're also, the way you represent, I can't break the law because I'm also representing my client. And we don't want them to lose their reputation because we did something wrong to protect them. So we have to be, there's a give and take. I wish they had asked both those questions together, or both of that would mash together, because Candace is going to ignore it. Watch. I guarantee you she's going to ignore it.
I think that's your job? Like, am I crazy? Or is that his job?
He literally says that.
His job to call and to see.
He literally says, I can't call law enforcement and say, you bring somebody over here. There is a chain of command. That's probably why she hates military, because they do follow a chain of command. He literally says that in the interview. He talks about that he could not call the PD and say, hey, can you send us some more agents? Or, hey, can you send us some more officers? So on and so forth. He can't do that. He literally says that in the interview. Either A, she should have watched the whole thing before she spoke on it, or B, she's being deliberately, intentionally dishonest. You pick which one.
Through if Charlie's paying him for executive level
millions
security.
of dollars.
Is this
we know
how these assassinations happen? Is that what's happening even like at the White House level with the Thomas Crooks thing? Is that what happened? Like Secret Service just called locally in Pennsylvania and was like, hey, that looks like trouble up there. Could you maybe get a guy up there or let me know, or if like whatever? And then they were just like, yeah, sure, gotcha. And then they just figured it was accomplished. I don't accept any of that. You shouldn't accept any of that.
Why did she jump from what this man is dealing with here at UVU to what happened is this the Butler, Pennsylvania? Like, ma'am, shout out to fans. I'm up here being a member for 2 months. A personal security does not trump the campus police. Charlie's security can only work within the bounds and mercy of UVPD. Thank you so much for being a member for 2 months and having your head on straight. Shout out.
That, nor do I find him to be convincing, right? The vibe I'm getting from that interview is dishonesty. Okay, I'd like to see more of your conversation, not this screenshot that doesn't prove anything other than that you started a conversation about the rooftop.
No, she did not. Y'all, I'm about to rage quit. I'm tired. I can't. I cannot. I got to go. I cannot. This woman did not just sit there and say, I want to see all of your conversation when she shows stuff from 7 years ago. Y'all, I quit. Y'all have a great night. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great night. Tip your weight on the door. Green Hearts on the chat. Make sure you like the video. Tell a friend. Tell a friend. Help me hit 100,000 subscribers. Goodbye. Good night. Good night. I'm done. That woman literally just said that. She literally just said that. She has shown less information and has caused more havoc on the internet with less. Y'all, I'm amazed. And I know some candies are gonna jump in here and they got their feelings, they're in their feelings, you know, their little tighty whities up in a bunch and they feeling some kind of way. But how in the world? Yo, real quick, y'all, shout out to the best live chat on the internet. All right, I got bingo. She's calling an expert a liar. Like, that's crazy work, y'all. That is some bona fide, high level, full octane crazy right there. Oh my gosh. I'm surprised Kanye has not entered the chat. I'm surprised Foya hasn't entered the chat. I'm really surprised. I'm actually kind of impressed. That's some crazy work, man. I'm back, but I'm back. Loyal love, I'm back. I'm back. I'm up in here. I can't leave y'all. We got to make it through the end. We got to do this. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's finish up, y'all. I'm going to try my very best to get done because, you know, we got our book study in a few minutes. I'm running late. All right, let's get done. Let's get done.
Rooftop that you were aware there was an open rooftop and didn't follow up in some measure. And so it's a little bit ridiculous to be passing the buck. So thank you for the receipt. That wasn't actually a receipt.
That's funny.
Next up, we have Blake Neff. Obviously, you guys will recall Blake Neff was the Turning Point USA employee that was standing directly next to supercalifragilisticexpialidocious Mikey McCoy when the shot
she does not like Mike McCoy.
Blake Neff has similarly decided to drop a receipt. This happened, I think, actually last week, of his actions on that day. Now, to jog your memory, he offered up a pretty strong defense of the magnificent Mikey McCoy, who he says had a quivering lip. And I'm going to let you listen to Blake's account of that day again as a reminder before we get to his receipt. Take a listen.
The shooting occurs. I am next to Mikey. Both of us hear a loud crack. We both turn. We both see Charlie, who has been shot. Both of us, I think at about the same time, realize that that means there is a shooter who is on the scene. And, you know, you just hear the crack, so you don't know, did it come from far away? Did it come from close? Is there a mass shooter unfolding right now? So I and him both had the reaction of, let's get out of here before we are both shot. That is not us abandoning Charlie. Charlie had a security team. They all leapt immediately into action, and they got Charlie out of there, which was what their job was to do. My job was not to get in the way and screw this up because, like, I had to be a hero. That was not my job. I remember even running past, both of us going past the, you know, the SUV that we came in on, and me thinking, should I get in that car? And then thinking, no, that's a really stupid thing to do. And then I kept going. So I was not with Mikey, or I don't remember being with him. I think I was ahead of him as we left. And then we get out, and I run for, can't have been more than 15 or 20 seconds. And then I realized there hasn't been another shot, so the shooter has likely been detained or stopped or something, not in immediate danger. I pause, I look around me, and I see Mikey. And I see Mikey there. And truthfully, I will never forget what I saw, because I've seen Mikey almost every day for the past 2 years. I know his personality very well. He's a very bubbly guy. He's a very happy guy almost all of the time. And I'll never forget what I saw, because it was clear in the moment that he was profoundly freaked out. What I'll always remember is the way his lip was quivering, which I'd never seen before. And you very rarely see from someone that he was freaking out. And then I think he literally said to me, I might be imagining this, but I think what he literally said was, And then he was looking around, and then he says, I need to call Erica. And then he takes his phone and he begins calling Erica. And I don't want to disclose how that call unfolded, but he did that. Your mind extends all of this, but that is happening within a minute of all of this occurring. I remember
I haven't even seen this. I know exactly what she's about to say. I know exactly what she's going to say. She's going to say, Mike McCoy said he was calling when he walked away, and he is saying he called a minute later. What is he going to do? That's what she's going to do. I promise you. Watch. If I'm wrong, green hearts in the chat if I'm wrong. Watch this. Let's bring it back in, Jason. That would be the right way to do it. Let's do this. Now let's go. Here we go.
he calls Erica. Around the same time, I pull out my phone and I call my mom just to say, Mom, there's been a shooting. You're going to see on the news. I'm okay. Pray for me. I've got to go. And I remember that call. And around the time I put that phone away, and then he immediately calls his dad. He calls Rob McCoy. And he says, Dad, someone shot Charlie. You need to call all of your pastor friends. Charlie was hit. We need everyone to pray right now. And that's what he told him. And I guess it's very disgusting for me as someone who witnessed this, who saw Mikey hugely distressed and then step up in the moment, because after that call was over, I saw Mikey get total mastery of himself, that he realized he had to step up in this situation. And from that point, he was like a general directing.
Yeah, he's a general. We know he's amazing. We love him. He's just the most magnificent thing I've ever seen. It's stunning. It's brave. It's everything. It's every adjective I ever knew and more. What's interesting there is that Blake Neff then had a back forth with somebody on X. And I want to be clear, I actually don't think Blake Neff is in on the corruption here. I don't know why. I've just never gotten that vibe. I think he believes what he's saying. And like I said, he is telling the truth as far as I can tell. Vibe check, right? But what's interesting is he allows us to now date, or rather put some time markers here on how long the phone call was between Mikey and Erica, right? Because he drops a receipt on X. He's having a back forth spat with somebody on X a few days ago, or a week ago, I don't remember. And he decides to drop his call log with his mom, or rather a screenshot of the call that he had with his mom. Now, remember, Blake is in Arizona now, so this is going to say 11:24. It's supposed to be obviously 12:24 Utah time. We can show you that. You can see he calls his mom, and the call is 45 seconds long, and the call begins at 11:24. So a story that he tells us is he's running for 20, 30 seconds, or however long he said there. Just not long. He stops, catches his breath. He sees Mikey. Mikey's got a quivering lip. Mikey looks at him and he says, I've got to call Erica. And he says, Mikey calls Erica, and then I call my mom. And when he terminates the phone call with his mom, he says, Mikey then called his dad, right? That's the next thing that happens. It's a very short phone call, right? That allows us to at least get a sense of how this ran. Because he's now confirming he called her first. Charlie was shot at 12:23, right? So these are back-to-back phone calls. It actually, if it happened this quickly with this receipt, it's possible that Rob McCoy did think he was the first person that was called. Because Rob McCoy is getting called at 12:24 or 12:25. This is all happening within 2 minutes, right? These phone calls are flying within 2 minutes, right? That means when he terminates that call, it's what, 12? When you start a phone call, Mark, you can chime in here to mansplain if you know the answer. When you're looking at his screenshot there, is that telling us when the call began or when the call terminated?
It's when the call is initiated.
When the call's initiated. So it's possible 45 seconds later, he's now in the 12:25, and now Mikey's calling his dad. That's very interesting. That's just another data point that we at least have there.
But that's not Mike McCoy. That's Jeff or the Neff guy. Like, I don't understand. Again, like I said, she's going to keep trying this out. And I just want you to start asking yourself, because we're going to come back and talk about this. Why is she so headstrong? Why is she so hell-bent to drag TPUSA into the swamp? I want you to think about that. Let's finish up.
Moving on to the pastor, America's pastor, Rott McCoy.
So, I'm sorry. I know. Shout out. Give me some green hearts to tell me to stop it, Jason. Isn't it funny that she could only find 2 points in that Sean Ryan video that she could talk about? The video's 2.5 hours long. They talk a lot about a lot. She can only find 2 points, literally less than a minute. I don't think she's ever going to come back to that video. I'm going to say that right now. I don't think she's ever going to come back to that video. It is what it is. I am a little bit surprised that she didn't give the name of the company because, you know, she wants the candies to attack them. And I'm a little surprised that she didn't do that, which seems odd to me, but I digress. All right, let's go. We're done.
I just think in general, by the way, I want to give a shout out to Calvary Chapel because I knew nothing about Calvary Chapel before this investigation. These pastors are doing the absolute most. I have never seen such an obvious and naked propagandist campaign in my life than me exploring the Calvary Chapel church movement. So America's Pastor Rott McCoy was in Jerusalem on November 16th, apparently. A couple days ago, he was at an event. It was built as a celebration of the life of Charlie Kirk. And what better way to celebrate the life of Charlie Kirk than to take questions from the audience about, you guessed it, Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Take it away, Israel.
We see people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, and these people are essentially trying to hijack the Christian message and spread an anti-Israel message in the name of Christianity. And they're perverting this Judeo-Christian brotherhood and ethic by essentially promoting Jew hatred, but putting a Christian label on it. What can we do to push back? And what can the church do to be able to just completely repudiate that kind of dishonesty and perversion of what Judeo-Christian values truly are?
That's a great question. We've gotten into this situation with that generation of young people because they have all been raised by Caesar, and we're wondering why they become Romans. We have abdicated our public school system to secularism. And it's the red-green revolution, where you take away with secularism the moral foundation, and then you come in with whether it be Islam or ethno-nationalism, because we've gone through critical race theory, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We've taken white males and put them at the bottom of the totem pole. We've mocked them and embraced the stupidity, and now we're upset that they feel as though they've been, you know, relegated to obscurity, and now they're signing on with these awful directions in life.
So
wait, hold on.
Interesting to.
What did he say that was wrong? What did he say that was bad? He doesn't talk about Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson. And Candace, stop faking the funk. You like when people talk about you, just leave it alone. But he doesn't talk about her. I think his answer was actually fairly decent. It was measures. It's talking about this is what we're dealing with in the society. Whatever. This woman's ridiculous.
Think about them discussing how we need to be re-educated again, kind of like the Robert Maxwell campaign, like we had to have the Holocaust education. And I want you to imagine a world where Calvary Chapel churches get to decide how we're educated, because somebody sent me an actual magazine that they have. Again, I'm new to the Calvary Chapel thing that's happening. I knew they were behind a lot of the attacks against me and Tucker Carlson this year, but I hadn't realized that how, like I said, naked and propagandist this is. This is this month's issue of Calvary Chapel magazine. Apparently they have their own magazine, and this is not parody. This is Judeo-Christianity. This is the cover of Calvary Chapel magazine from this month, and it says, "Stand with Israel." It tells the story of surfer to shepherd. I guess that's somebody's story. And then you have there a subtitle. I guess we're going to be able to read this article in there. "Why Jews Are Hated." You go to your church on Sunday, and this is what they are handing out. Now, the person who sent me this then showed me what was inside, which is even more amazing. Here we go. Here we are learning about Christianity. Oh, actually, it's a photo of IDF soldiers wearing yarmulkes coming home. And it has a quotation here that said, "God began to paint a prophetic portrait of the Messiah." I just want to know, how this happened, I guess. I don't know. I was asleep. I didn't know this was going on. I didn't understand that they have so many mega churches everywhere across America. And they basically exist to convince Christians to worship the IDF. I just find that to be quite strange. Let me know if I'm out.
At this point, y'all, I just go,
Out
Jess.
of pocket here, and
You're out of
you
pocket.
really think that this is not propagandist and that you're learning Christ's message when you line up and you
I have an
get
idea.
handed stuff like that?
I have an idea, Candace. You know what, Candace? You're right. This is not the Christian message. This is not Christ's message. You're right, Candace. Shame on Calvary Chapel. You are correct, Candace. Shame on them. How about you tell us what the Christ message is, Candace? How about you explain Christian discipleship? How about you explain how one is actually saved? How about you do that? I think that would be really, really interesting, Candace. I would learn a lot. I would love for you. Shout out to the Candies if you're in the chat. Can y'all please get to your Lord and Savior, Candace, and ask her to tell us, just to share, what's the opposite of this? And you're right. There's shame on those Calvary chapels for talking about Israel and teaching people to worship IDF. Shame on them. But Candace, I am so waiting for you to give us the alternative. Show us what it really is. Show us what Christ's message is. The gospel, if you would, Candace. I think that would be great. I think that would be great. Green hearts in the chat if you agree too, that would be great to see that, Candace. I think we would love to see that. We'd just love to see it because you'd never be able to do it.
I don't know. I just feel like that for me is something that we need to talk about more because it's pretty obvious what happened here. And of course, Bibi Netanyahu is involved in the Calvary Chapel churches. We're going to get to that tomorrow. His relationship with Bob Coy.
Tomorrow.
Not to be confused with Pastor Rob McCoy, but Bob Coy, the one from Fort Lauderdale.
That's
who
why this.
got
That's how you know
into
this
a
is
little
silly.
bit of a scandal with sexual abuse. Again, we'll get into that tomorrow. Before we get into comments, when we get into comments, rather, I'm going to tell you, finally answer that question, that lingering question when I told you I would find out what was the name of the donor that similarly freaked out and spazzed out when Charlie let Tucker Carlson speak on stage and took $1 million away from Charlie. I'm going to tell you who that donor was just after a few more sponsors.
Yeah, let's
All
not.
right, you guys,
let's
think we
not.
all know-
Shout out to the best live channel on the internet, y'all. Y'all are the best. I don't even know what we're doing today, y'all. I feel like we are totally. I'm past feeling like we're getting punked. I'm past that. I'm just going to shout out to the best live channel on the internet. Thank you so much, Real Justice. Candace needs a ride back to 1985 on the Wayback Machine. Oh, she about to piss me off. They were calling him a clown when he was crying. I mean, Candace's people are pretty interesting, to say the least. They're vile. They're vile. Shout out. But it's interesting. I'm going to say this real quick. It's very interesting, the audience that Candace attracts. And I talked about this in my video earlier today about the planes. Candace attracts an audience that's not Christian. And that should, and again, you could be a part of the best live channel on the internet. You don't have to be a Christian to be here at the Jay Witt podcast. But I hope that you see that we don't act like that. We, generally speaking, we try to act decent over here. We try to act, modicum of hospitable over here. We invite the candies up to the front of the church. We only put people in 0-second timeout every now and then. You know what I'm saying? Like, we try to be as open and conciliatory as possible because I want you to see what Christian behavior is like. Why is it that Candace's people behave like they do? I just want you to think about that. Why do they behave like they do? Thank you so much, Captain Jax with the 5. Speaking from experience, his security team will always blame themselves. Candy needs to shut the heck up. I'm angry for them. I mean, angry. Shout out to Captain Jax, who's had a prestigious career as a law enforcement representative. She's told me some great things about her own career, as well as shed some light on what's going on here. Candace has no idea what she's talking about. Thank you again, Phantom. And he says right here, the personal security does not trump campus security. Charlie's security can only work within the bounds and mercy of the PD. Thank you so much for being a member for 2 months. Thank you, Eliza, with a $2 super right here. No question, no comment, just loving the game. Thank you so much for your support. And what does Joycelyn Nelson say here with the 2? She really thinks people owe her something. This has been the narrative since even before the Macron case. She's always presented herself like they owe her something. I'm asking for something. How dare you not give it to me? You're not giving it to me. You must be suspect. You are public enemy number 1 because you have not done what I think you should do. Mo the GOAT with the $5 super says this. Candace benefited the most from Charlie's death. Was she involved? Hey, prove me wrong. Prove the GOAT wrong. Drop a GOAT in the chat, y'all. Prove the GOAT wrong that Candace has not benefited the most from this. Stephanie says this with a 10. She'd rather figuratively burn down TPUSA than see Erica at the helm. She is so jealous and resentful. I know we've all been in agreement on this, but she is not a Christian or Catholic, period. She even said the period. How do y'all pronounce that? Period. I agree with you, Stephanie, 100%. Thank you for the $10 super. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. There's a content creator that is going to do a video about this, and I'm going to wait for him to finish the video. I just got done texting him. I told him he had 6 hours because if he don't have something in the pipeline by the end of the night, I'm just going to go live and talk about it because it's right down the button. It's right down the pocket. Let's go. Melanie says this with the 10. She didn't even listen to the whole interview. I mean, that interview was good. Even if you don't like Sean Ryan, if you even think Brian Harpole is a terrible person, I don't see why you do, but she didn't even listen to it. But her candies are always telling us we got to watch every single thing that Candace has ever done. She didn't watch everything that this man did. It's only 2 hours, 2.5 hours. That's what she said. She just wants to talk and weave her own narrative. Shout out. You're 1,000% correct. I'm right there with you, Melanie. And again, Melanie came back around. Sorry about that. Mo the GOAT came back around. OMG, Jews ask how to prevent the spread of hate, lies, and violence against Jews within the church. It's not like they have something to fear. I mean, I'm right there with you. Like, how dare them actually ask a question of a Christian pastor? Again, shout out, man. Mo, thank you so much. Stephanie Case says this. She loves this attention, and I'm sure her publicist reminds her no such thing as negative attention. Narcissists need it to survive. I agree with you 1,000%. And it's just bad. I mean, so many people are being hurt by her narcissistic fixation. Let's keep it going. Phantom says this. Personal security typically controls a bubble around the package. They don't control full area. Police are used for that. See? And now, let me say this. Should Brian have asked some more clarifying questions? I think that would have been good. But if somebody says, I got you covered, why don't y'all just reach out and ask the man, what did he mean by that? You can FOIA him. You can do that. Why is Candy not saying that? To add, if she wants to investigate, why is she not asking them to say, hey, reach out to Deputy or Chief Brian Long and ask him the question? Shout out, thank you, Eliza, with the 2. Wouldn't the ultimate mega church be the Catholic? You know what? That's a good, I like how she thinks. I like that one. Thank you for the $2 super. I agree with you. Yeah, I guess they would be the ultimate mega church. They would be. Shame on Calvary Chapel for taking on a legitimate topic like anti-Semitism, showing who the IDF actually is, not random people to be hated. Thank you, Phantom, with the 5. You know, how dare they actually do something and actually point out the community? I mean, for real. And the $2 right here with Jalen says this. She is willfully and knowingly hurting. Yeah, absolutely. I think she's willfully and knowingly ignorant. All right, we're going to finish this up because I'm supposed to be in my book discussion, and they're going to be mad at me. Let's go. Green hearts in the chat when you can hear.
So, of course, that Charlie's dear friends, the Zionists and the donors who
Best
love
friend.
Charlie, lost their ish at the Turning Point USA SAS event last July when Tucker Carlson hit the stage. And Charlie told Tucker Carlson to go max. Tucker Carlson went max, and by max, I mean just said like basic American principles, like we shouldn't be worshiping Israel, that the Epstein files should be released, and that obviously our relationship is not America first with Israel. And that caused a donor meltdown. It was like a last straw. We have showed you the data points. We have showed you the timeline. That's where things start to get a little dicey with Charlie. And I think it's very relevant. Anyways, I had mentioned to you that there was because everybody's mic'd up. I told you all this was mic'd up. Obviously, Megyn Kelly happened to have that footage, but they have that footage with like full clarity of exactly what Charlie said to Tucker Carlson. And they had the footage of the donors who freaked out, at least the audio of the donors who freaked out. I told you about a woman who yelled and took away $1 million because of the Tucker Carlson speech. That woman was Joyce Chernick. Joyce Chernick is married to Aubrey Chernick. He's a software tech billionaire guy. They fund a variety of pro-Israel causes through the David Horowitz Foundation. So that was another donor who went, bye-bye, Charlie. How dare you let Tucker Carlson say things? Also reminding you guys, if you'd like to support us, Make Him a Sandwich is available. You can go to makehimasandwich.com. If you'd like to pick up a regular copy, we also have we have signed copies at CandaceOwens.com. We also have new merch on the website. Plus,
Okay, I'm going to pass on the merch. I'm good. How does she know that that's the donor? How does she know that? How does she know that that donor is the one that she's referring to?
Thursday, I don't know if I even told you guys that. I think we sent out an email, but telling you this for the first time on the show, that we bumped it to 6 o'clock Eastern on Thursday. So no book club tonight. We'll have it at 6 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. Top comment from yesterday's episode is from Abby Sloan. She writes, I don't think they realize that if Candace had an audience of 1, she would still be doing this investigation. Amen. Yes, I would still be doing this investigation.
I bet you would.
And sometimes these investigations do have to be done with an audience of 1. Definitely a lot of times in the past, before people were more dialed in to the fact that there is something tremendously evil going on in this country. And our feds are not interested in discovering that evil because they are a part of the evil. I think we all accept that. Not just in this country, worldwide, right? There's something about the Charlie Kirk assassination that we spiritually already recognize has international implications. That's very clear. And it will become more clear in the coming weeks as I continue to roll out information. We don't do everything very quickly because this is a game of cat and mouse, and we need to know where the snakes are. We need to know where the rats are on the ship, and there are a lot of them. And we are getting closer. I think I can confirm to you guys that there is mass panic over this show. I guess they thought they were going to get away with it. They were hoping that they had successfully fostered this ADHD culture where people are just unable to pay attention to anything, right? Not even like a Netflix show can they pay attention to.
Why does she come across so condescending? Is that me? Or is she just, maybe I'm just paying attention to her more today, but she just seems really insulting. Like, oh, you have ADHD. You can't pay attention. It's funny because the same people that don't have attention, they watch that 2-hour Sean Ryan interview and my 1.5-hour response to it, but you couldn't watch it. I'm just saying, just something I noticed. You couldn't watch it, Candace. It just seems odd to me. Very odd.
Long term. So they were hoping, okay, we're going to do this thing at the Staples Center and then move on from it. And actually, it turns out the world is focused and they're locked in. And the feds are not going to get away with it. That is what I can say. They are not going to get away with it this time. Okay, getting into your comments today, Jennifer writes, it's official. I am a conspiracy theorist. Ask questions, seek the truth. Thank you, Candace. We don't know, but we know. Why follow Erica, who was on the planes? We're being lied to, and I don't like it. I am glad that CK has you to ask the right questions and get some answers. Yeah, I saw a lot of you guys in the chat asking why these particular planes were following Erica. I have an indication as to why.
Because it's a crazy statement.
I want to thoroughly vet that.
You're not starting up a plane. You got to have a pilot and a co-pilot, probably a stewardess. You're not doing that. If anybody looks up how much hassle it is to fly a plane, you're not just flying a plane willy-nilly. You're not just jumping in and doing it like you're treating your car. No, there's a lot more that goes into it. And you're not just flying. No. The reason people are asking about why they're a plane, because that sentence sounds deflected. It sounds like you're having a mental glitch out to say that a plane is following another plane with a military escort around the United States. Say that sentence, write it down on a piece of paper and just read it. It sounds crazy. That's why people are asking that question, Candace.
And to make sure that I ask the right people to confirm the things that we are looking at. But I have an indication as to why that may have been. Just common sensing it, writes Rep. Massey Green. Any Republican or Democrat representative that is watching, please put forth a bill to end foreign and domestic lobbying. It's the only way we have a shot at a government that does not put foreign and big corporation interests before ours. Yes, you are correct. Don't forget that when JFK tried to put an end to that, well, I guess rather put an end to the Israel exception that we now have by making them sign up and acknowledge FARA to follow the FARA, they shot him. Who is they? Who is they? I don't know. But
Yeah, who's that?
it
You
ended
don't
up being
know.
reversed. So we should not accept that. We should not accept lobbying full stop, but we certainly shouldn't accept this sort of Israel exception, which is they do not have to certify anything under FARA. Obsessed Sports writes, if the planes are truly from the Egyptian government, would that mean their passengers and cargo would have diplomatic immunity and allow them to do illicit activities, espionage, weapons, trafficking, etc., without much oversight? You are on the right track. Certainly, there are a lot of implications with why this plane would be allowed in and the federal government would escort it, and then everyone would play dumb when Candace mentioned this flight being on the ground. It's interesting. Definitely.
No, we're not playing dumb. That's the thing, Candace. What you're saying is dumb. There is dumb in the mix. The problem is the dumb is not on the federal government. The dumb is on you. And you're not willing to accept what you're saying. What you're positing is logical questioning is actually insane. That's what you're not accepting.
More questions than answers, but we will have answers for you guys. Kayla Ferris writes, several people said there was a lot of vehicles at the home of the alleged shooter around the week before the shooting, right? That's another tip. You are correct, and I should explore that. They all said it was strange because they never had company over. You are absolutely correct, and I can try to hunt that down and see what I come up with for you guys tomorrow. Renee writes, talk to the neighbors. They were complaining about many cars parked at that residence. Possibly Ring cameras will show the footage of those vehicles. I would imagine Cash has taken everything. They were making sure that they had secured everything under the guise of trying to discover who murdered Charlie. Obviously, they were cleaning things up, but we can try. If you guys have footage, that would be great. Again, we want to see the days leading up. So relevant time frame would be from 9/4 up until 9/10, looking for these vehicles, these 5 vehicles that we have now shown you. L. Hodges writes, I find it insane how influencers, Tim Pool, were speaking up against you regarding Turning Point USA and you no longer being invited to AmFest. Apparently he said something hurtful and they said he can't go. Weird. I am not following what Tim Pool has been saying. I know that he was he always kind of throws shade about me investigating things. I did see a clip on X that when we started this investigation of him saying people were doing it for clicks, which is just, I have no response to that. It's just, I can't think of more things that were done for clicks and for money than selling t-shirts of what he died in, making $70 million. I have not sold anything with Charlie's face or Charlie's name. I have kept up my job, which was always investigating, as I've been doing this entire year, the last 2 years. Authentically Magnetic writes, wild how Candace stays 10 steps ahead while everyone else is still reacting to yesterday's news. And I can't win with these people. They say I have no proof, and I present proof, and they accuse me of doxing. They say I have no proof, and then I drop the text messages, and they're like, "How dare you share the private text messages?"
No. It's the fact that the text messages are fake, and you just doxed. What was the purpose of giving license plate numbers for rental cars? Like realistically, what's the purpose of that? You haven't shown us how you got that information. That's the most important thing. I could literally walk down the street to a rental car company, grab 5 license plate numbers and say that these people were doing something. They were there at Utah. Who could prove me wrong? It's where did you get the information from, Candace? That's what the question is. And I think she knows that.
They're just lying. They are lying, and I am telling the truth. That's it. That's what's happening right now.
But you're not showing the truth. You're saying something, and you're saying that what you're saying is true. I am saying something, and what I'm saying is true. Or however I said that. Nobody can prove me wrong. Nobody can prove you wrong, Candace, because you haven't given any evidence to the fact.
Twins versus Twins writes, can we get a book that is not signed? Yes, make him a sandwich. Candaspiracy.com has the unsigned books. Make him a sandwich.
Write in the chat if you really think she
has the
makes her husband a
unsigned
sandwich.
Books. Hope that helps you out. And you guys, thank you. Again, we're working on a very, very big lead tomorrow.
Of course, she's always working on a big lead. She's always working on a big lead. Every day is a bigger lead. Somebody say, why does she get an epiphany every day? I don't know. That's probably what we're talking about. The chief refused to return Brian's calls. What a coward. Shout out to Captain Jax. Thank you for the $10 super. And you're 100% correct. Like, what is Brian supposed to be doing if the person who's supposed to be protecting them didn't do what their job was? Eliza says this, why she don't talk about the PDFs in her faith. I don't know. I don't know. But again, Calvary Chapel catching shade. Every day we turn on this camera, Calvary Chapel catching shade. But, hey, hey, Vatican City, y'all got some shade to catch too. Shout out to JD says this, hey, I'm done. I can't anymore. And he actually said, well, did I see earlier you said you're in a Calvary Chapel, I believe. Shout out to y'all, man. Hey, shout out to Calvary Chapel. And again, that's just, first of all, that's mad reckless because not every church that says Calvary in their name is a member of Calvary Chapel. Not every church that's in Calvary Chapel affiliation has Calvary in their name. So, I mean, there's just a lot of problems with the way her investigative journalism is hot trash. Melanie, thank you so much. No question, no comment, just pure love of the game. Thank you so much for the $5 super. I appreciate you. Melanie, thank you so much. Fandom comes back around. There's a video of Charlie saying he is a proud evangelical Christian 2 minutes before being shot. She is dumb and needs to be quiet. You know what? I'm looking for that Phantom. I think you've sent that to me. If you could you send that to me again? And if you did send it to me, or if you didn't already send it to me, can you send it to me now? Just give me the 2-minute clip. I'd like to see that. I believe you, but I just want to see it. Mo the Goat comes around with the 10, says this. Then out, I guess you mean calling out the donors was right to be against Tucker and Candace, not our anti-Semitic, anti-Israel. So if they are what you come about, why giving money to anyone related to them? I think that's a great question. I think what you're saying, Mo, is that then the donors are not wrong for calling out Turning Point. If they're going to have Candace and Tucker on stage, why should they donate if they have Tucker on stage? Tucker disagrees with the viewpoint that the donors have. The donors have the right to take their money wherever they want to go. And I thank you for the $10 super. And he also says this, no, how she uses spirituality is manipulation. I agree. No argument for me at all. Fantastic call out. Again, Mo says, sorry, my prior comment is a mess. Don't worry about it, brother. Thank you so much for the $2 super. I appreciate y'all. Y'all, real quick, I am supposed to be doing my book discussion, and then I'm supposed to be helping Chief Executive Secondborn with her computer. So I got to get ready to get out of here. I do want to say that tomorrow is Wednesday. We'll be back at this again. I think we have a full plate tomorrow, so we'll come back. We'll jump on Candace again and have another fun time and see what happens. Y'all, I want to say thank you to all of you all who jumped into the best live chat on the internet. Thank you so much to my vertical as well as my landscape people. Hopefully y'all like that. We're going to jump into it again tomorrow. Thank y'all so much thank you so much to the moderators for holding it down. I really appreciate y'all. If y'all could, the moderators work really hard behind the scenes. We've been connecting all week to kind of iron out some things and get some better protocols in place. Can y'all do me a favor, even before I leave, even though I said I need to get out of here, can y'all just type mods in the chat, let them know we really appreciate them, because they do such a great job. They really do. I'm blessed to have these men and women who really like what we're doing here and want to support it. Can y'all just flood the chat with mod, please? It means a lot, because they really do work hard to keep this thing going in the right direction. I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm not gassing them up. They really do a great job for y'all and for this channel. Because again, this channel would be a hot mess if it wasn't for them. So I want to give them their flowers while they can still smell them, for sure. So thank you so much, y'all. Appreciate you. If you could, if I've earned it, go ahead and give your boy a like. Go ahead and tip your waiter on the way out the door. If you did like this channel, you've been checking me out, seeing what's going on, hey, go ahead and subscribe. hit the bell notification, all that kind of good jazz. We have some great stuff planned for the rest of the week, so I'm looking forward to tapping in with you all. I'm supposed to be doing a book discussion, so I'm going to go ahead and matter of fact, if you want to, we're going to be doing that book discussion very soon. So if you're, we're going through Pilgrim's Progress. Let me go ahead and drop that link real quick as well and make sure that we, bada boom, bada bing, got it right here. It's right here. Perfect. All right, everybody, I got to get over here and check out my people. So, did not grab that link. I grabbed the AmFest link. That's crazy. All right, I'll see y'all over there in the book discussion in a moment. Let me talk about Pilgrim's Progress. Everybody have a fantastic night. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Until next time, grace and peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Witt Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.